Hello, and welcome to your Aunties Could Never. I'm Auntie AK, and I am here with...
Sorry, because certain people try to send me a message at the same time as welcome, like saying hello, and I'm like, what am I doing? I'm Auntie Farah, and I'm blindsided by Auntie AK's message that she just sent me.
Auntie, you're mute.
Auntie Nana.
I want to start again.
Hi, I'm Auntie AK, and I'm here with
Auntie Farah,
Auntie Nana,
Auntie Sade,
and
Auntie Cyndi.
Hey!
welcome.
How are you doing? And what's been the highlight of your day?
It's been knowing that I'm going to spend some time with you guys. Honestly, it's been a really rough day. Like, I've been cleaning and moving things about. So actually just to sit here and have some kombucha and chill out with you lovely ladies, this is actually the highlight, for real.
Yay!
Aww, that's so nice.
I like that. Thank you. That's so sweet.
Thank you.
I'm gonna use that back at you.
Yeah.
The highlight is having you on the show. So yes.
Don't try because you didn't know what to say. You tried to cheat.
I did, because I could have thought of one if I had remembered that you throw this in nowadays. But that's a really lovely one, so I'm going to jump on that. Thank you very much.
There you go.
Auntie Shad, Auntie Nana, what's been the highlight of your day?
Ooh, what's been the highlight of my day? Apart from obviously Cyndi being on the show, definitely a highlight. I don't know. I had a good day today. I can't lie. Yeah, the team. Yeah, we're just getting through some stuff. We've got a lot of work to do, but we're delegating and everyone's taking responsibility and things like are going smoothly. And I do have a highlight. I'll try and do it quickly, but I've been looking into the Mandela effect, and we basically done a test today with the team, but who remembers what or who thinks they remember stuff, and that was quite funny and entertaining. So yeah, that was
we've definitely talked about this. I've had loads of conversation about the Mandela effect, and I can't remember my key one that was like, I thought this happened. I can't remember what it was, but yeah. Auntie Nana.
highlight of today was I was watching Stephen Bartlett. I've been binging Stephen Bartlett's Diary of a CEO, and I can't remember this woman's name. It escapes me now. But she has a thing, it's called like the high five and the count into five method. And yeah, for the first time, I'd watched her do her TED talk on this and never did it. And today I did it and literally did start laughing and got like a little rush of a high. So that's been the highlight of my day. I high-fived myself in the mirror.
So it gives you, what?
So you go to the mirror, you look at yourself properly and you high-five yourself and you get like a little adrenaline rush.
Okay.
Try it out.
What's the science behind that? That seems quite...
Because a high five is generally, your brain is wired that it's a congratulation. Like generally, if you give somebody a high five or you see a high five, it's always like a praise or in celebration or a well done. So to do it to yourself, you generally don't really praise yourself. Some people, I don't. So you do that every morning. And then you give yourself, you like reset your brain to be like, well done, congratulations, you're a great human. That's the thing.
Okay.
I like that. I might try it, see what I go on.
Okay.
See how it goes.
I have thoughts, but I guess we have to move on.
We do.
I mean, no one's surprised.
All right, Auntie Farah, warm us up. Warm us up, kid.
Okay, so I'm actually going to try a thing and share my screen.
Oh my God.
I want to do... How does man do this, though? I'm really going to cut out.
Women in tech.
Right. Okay.
You say women in tech?
Can people see that? I don't know.
We can't see it. Yes.
I did it. Amina. Right. So So basically,
Tiny.
on social media this week,
You need to make
this
it bigger
has
though.
been going around, and it's hold on, because now I don't know what I'm doing.
You gotta
Right.
make it bigger because I'm screening my eyes.
How do
Yeah.
I make it bigger?
Doing
hold
this.
on, wait. Can you see that?
Just,
Mm.
okay, just about.
You can't see that.
It's
Yeah, yeah.
Glasses on.
Have to lean in, but yeah, I can see it.
All right, so basically, these words is like Black British storytelling phrases, okay?
Okay.
Mhm.
And the words are them ones there, red hair tear, so then, tutus, I clocked on, calm, mind you, and boom, right? So I thought what we would do is play a game called, oops, I didn't mean to do that. Yo, whose line is it anyway, though?
Okay, let's go. This sounds fun.
Okay.
So we're gonna
I'm
go
up for this. I
around
like this game.
so we're gonna go around the room, and you have to say, like, incorporate one of the words into the story. Okay?
Okay.
I'm gonna start, and then we're gonna let's start alphabetical order. Keep it easy,
Ugh.
right?
Okay.
I
So-
wanted to start.
Sorry, can you just do the alphabet?
Auntie AK, Auntie Cyndi, Auntie Farah, Auntie Nana, Auntie Sade.
We should go in reverse order because I want to start.
All right, let's go reverse order.
Okay, because I can say anything.
Yeah, anything, but we're making it a story, okay?
Yeah.
All right,
Okay.
cool.
And when do I stop? Like, how do I know to
So you
pass?
throw it. As soon as you've said it,
Okay.
unless it's like don't make it the first thing you say.
Yeah.
Like,
Oh.
say a sentence and then say something and then you stop. And then someone else says a sentence and then throws it in there and then they stop. Do you get me though?
Okay.
Okay.
think.
Okay?
Yeah, I do.
Stressful.
But I really want to. Oh, you kind of threw it off though. But yeah. Okay.
We need it bigger.
Okay,
We need
okay,
it
all right. Then
bigger.
do it your way. But
Okay.
once
All right.
we go long
Start
sentence,
with it,
we
innit?
still go around the room.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay? All right.
And it's
go.
just one each time. Yeah.
one each time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Ready?
Okay. All right. Boom. So I was talking to my man, and we decided to go out, and it was hailstoning, so we didn't know what to do. So I called up my friend AK, and
Always going backwards though.
Called up my friend Nana, Auntie Nana. Go on.
Auntie Nana, Jesus.
Tutus now. Bare hailstones just licked me in my head. I almost got knocked out on the floor, but then I had my phone in my hand. I was looking at the phone and I managed to dial somebody's number.
Auntie Farah. Because Nana couldn't remember the alphabet.
So there I was, minding my own business, and I get a call from Auntie Nana. She's all like, red hair, the hailstones are licking me in my head. I was like, but what do you want me to do about it? So then I thought, why don't you call Auntie Cyndi?
Yeah, but tutus, yeah, like I just like clocked that this was a madness. So I just said, listen, you lot are all mad. So I'm just gonna like call Nana, because Auntie Nana, because yeah, she's the right person to chat to. You get me?
All right, calm. I made sure that everyone like chilled out a little bit. You lot are going on my nerves, going on and on and on. So I was like, mind you, yeah, what I feel when it comes to you lot calling me and bugging when I'm doing things, I need you lot to leave me the fuck alone. So I just like hung up the phone, went about my business, and then once there, that's what it was.
I think that was pretty good. I'm not gonna.
That was pretty good.
What I know is I'm still on the floor, concussed from hailstones, and none of you helped me.
But you know what? Everyone was concentrating on what to say next. I was trying to remember who had said what. Let's get the comments.
No, it's you, isn't it? Is it you?
Okay.
Yes.
Hello to everybody. We have Okosia saying hello. Antoinette, hi. And she also says, big kwasia to my sister Cyndi. Ronald says hello. We have Antoinette says, Auntie Sade, you're looking boom today.
Oh, thank you.
Diodate says, so then your aunties could never is back with another week. Tutus, I like them still. So boom, they talk bare rare tear about life. But I clocked on that Auntie Nana is a butting. Boom, man. Is gonna move to that. Mind you, True says she likes Caramel Brothers, so it's calm still. Antoinette says, AK, I feel you flexing in cans. You know them ones there, yeah. And Auntie Nana, tutus, I need to jump on your website and get a couple of bits. Natalie says, oh my days, I just clocked on. And Antoinette says, Auntie Farah, great game. And there, yet, tet. There, yet, tet.
Maybe yet. Anyway, that was very good, Auntie Farah.
I like that one. That was fun.
Yeah.
Now it's time for me to welcome somebody to the family, if I could get my page up. But I think I know who I want to welcome. Yes, I'll talk about it a bit later. I was in Cannes for a couple of days, and it was, I'm going to say a couple of Cannes. I was in Cannes. It was beautiful, busy, overwhelming, and fun. But I just want to big up, welcome to the family, Fiona Lamptey, Mia Farrell, and Danielle Hoff. 3 women that I spent my time with out there. Fiona Lamptey is a big wig at Netflix. Mia Farrell is a big wig at BFI. And Danielle Hoff is an up-and-coming big wig producer who's doing big things on a rise. And it was just wonderful to be Black women in Cannes. Mia Farrell, I have to give all my love to Mia Farrell because she hosted me. I crashed with her because Cannes ain't cheap. But it was lovely to stay with her. She was a brilliant veteran of the Cannes Festival. So she took me around and graciously got up at 5 a.m. when I rocked up from going partying. And Fiona and Daniel were my codies in going out up and down. So it was just really good. And, you know, when you do emails and you're doing work and you meet people in that kind of a way, it's different when you chill with them out in a space and get to know them differently. So me and the girls really got to know each other in a different way, and developing and growing new friendships is always wonderful in life, especially with formidable Black women. So I want to welcome Fiona Lamptey, Mia Farrell, and Danielle Hoff to the family. They're a mixture of aunties and cousins, I think, and sisters maybe. All right. And now it's time for what? Oh no, hold on, pause. As you're listening to this show, please don't forget to add your reviews to Apple Podcasts. There's commentary stuff that you can do on Spotify. Wherever you listen to this podcast, please add your comments and get us to the top of the ratings and make us aunties, rich aunties, so we can continue to give you wonderful, rich advice. We also have a Patreon. So obviously sign up there. We have 3 tiers. Make your choice. And that's www.patreon.com/your aunties could never. Now it's time to get into what have you heard. It's where we discuss the stories that's got us talking in the news. And when we got a guest, we tend to mix it up with a bit of popular culture too. So we have a couple of stories to get through. I know we got, okay, we can just go. Auntie Sade, go with your news or culture story. What do you want to go for?
Oh, they're both good.
We'll do both of them. We'll get through.
Okay, cool. So my news story is basically, so guys, remember when, you know, a couple of months ago, like when you know, the Ukraine war started, the government thought it would be a good idea if the Ukrainian refugees were to come over and stay with families in the UK. Do you know what I mean? When they should have really just put them up in their own housing. But you know, our government's cheap. So, you know, there was this program and people could like choose, I think they could near enough choose someone to come and live with them. Well, one woman decided to live with a family, and after 10 days, she stole the husband, basically. So this couple's been married for 10 years, they have kids, and this Ukrainian woman comes into their family and literally breaks up their marriage in 10 days and runs off with the husband and the dad, basically. And my question is, it's a controversial one, but should she be deported? What do you guys think?
I was gonna go there.
Bait. It's bait. It's bait. I personally think that he was already cheating with this woman. If you look at the story and you look further, it's just too bait. It's too suspect. So it's a nice headline, and it's great for people that are like don't want to like have, you know, Johnny Foreigner in this country. And I know you're not alluding to that, Sade, but I do think that they had a connection already, and he just used this as an excuse, and that was that.
Wait, you think they had a relationship before and then he brought her to the house?
Yeah, because he was the one. I read a little bit of this story. He was the one that went out of his way to go and find this woman to say, oh guys, we should do something really noble. And you know, I'm sorry to the guys that might be watching, and I'm not trying to stereotype men, but I just don't feel that it's a dude of his age and everything that's going to say, oh, let's go out and help some refugees and have them stay with me and my lovely darling wife. That's why I feel it's a bit bait. I just think it's a bit suspect.
Oh wow!
I definitely feel the same, but I feel the same to the point where I reckon she wasn't even in Ukraine. Now, I'm not saying she's not from there, but what I am saying is that she wasn't actually there at the time. This is just a real good excuse to get this chick up in your yard and to do what you want to do in it. That's what I actually think. There's no way that he left his wife after 10 days. And if he did leave his wife after 10 days, he'd already mentally left her previously. 10 days. You'd have to be some different type of bread to make me leave anyone in 10 days. 10 days. No, come on. She was here already.
I mean, it does say she traveled from Kyiv to Lviv into Poland, then on to Berlin before flying to Manchester to meet Tony after securing her visa at the beginning of May. So I guess for a news article and journalists doing their due diligence and reporting and researching, they'd have to verify that, or they'd say allegedly. And they're not saying that, they're saying that these are the facts.
Which newspaper is it?
It's a very reputable paper called The Mirror.
So technically, they could say what they want in it because they've been known to.
No, but they actually can't. But to be fair, I get you. It's a tabloid. It's a tabloid. It's a tabloid. It's a tabloid. However,
can I just say,
go on. You lot have opened up a can of worms. But my point is, and that makes me think, if I think about it, and this is absolutely true, the other layer of when people are like, when you're applying, say, look, we'll take some refugees, but the status of the refugee has to be a certain criteria. You have to be potentially ugly, and it depends on your level of ugly as a woman. But it's what I'm saying. What would people would have to do that? Because people, you know, like, still got to be ugly, maybe have something going on where something that's not going to disrupt your happy home if you're an insecure woman and you're white.
But Auntie Queer, this is bait, because even in if it's the Mirror or the Metro, you know, like what they do in those tabloids, there are pictures of this new couple together posing. So it's very orchestrated. It's not just the woman, the woman scorned, talking about it and being upset with a mugshot of her ex. It's literally like juxtaposing this new couple. So I just feel like it's just not as straightforward.
But I'm just going with the facts that this is what's happened. So this is what people might have to start considering when applying to be a helpful benefit, like a helpful, what's the word, not benefactor, someone who's supporting these wonderful, you know, doing this work, being part of this worthy cause, right? You've got to consider some things. If it's a man, you don't want to be getting some hot Ukrainian with muscles coming into your yard. He might have to be overweight, short, all the things you think your wife won't like, be interested in, all the things you assume your wife won't be interested in. You know, there's women at home, like those rich housewives, when you're hiring a maid, you're not hiring some fit young maid. You want to hire a matron looking woman because you don't want your home to be disturbed because you know what happens when you're out and your husband's saying, oh, she's out. And now look at this sexy young maid that's coming to fluff her around my balls.
What the hell?
Now you got to stop coming up with these one-liners.
Oh my
God. Fluffer around my balls.
Well, that was interesting. What I saw, I kind of think you're right. I think that he was probably like chatting to her before. That sounds about right. 10 days, gave it 2 weeks, and then they ran off. But I saw there was a woman that did a TikTok, you know, like the superimposed, and she was like commenting on the story. And then the wife came under it and was like, I'm the wife that you're talking about. When he comes knocking, when she leaves him and he tries to come back to my house, the door's going to be closed. So maybe he has form for cheating.
He definitely
and this is just the biggest humiliation, because that post picture, that is out of order. Like, I would want to kill somebody if I was really like, I've been with this man 10 years, 2 kids, and then you're going to leave me for some bird after 10 days. You couldn't even just sleep with her. Just have an affair. Like, you had to leave me. That's really deep.
No, the picture
Leave
is
and then go to the papers and pose.
But they have to fight. They have to get some money because they have to start their new life together.
No, they
So
get the
need to fund it.
£350 a month from the government.
Like it might be tied to the old address, so it might not work out. So they need to get the money. So, like in the article, it says that Laura, the wife, her concerns grew further when Sophia, the temptress, would put on makeup and style her hair and wear low cut tops around the time Tony returned home from work, and it's just like what?
So what I'm saying is not wrong. You must vet your immigrants when you're bringing them into your house. The refugees, you have to have a process, have a criteria for the type of refugee you want in your yard. If you don't
But
want
honestly though, if you was married and you had a refugee in your house and you could see that they were physically changing their appearance when your husband came home, are you waiting 10 days? I'm not waiting 10 days, babe. You got to go. It's not working out. It's not working out. Yeah.
So where can you send them to? Because they're like, you got to look after
Let's
them.
be
It's not like foster care. You don't have to look after them.
Of humor, you can drop them anywhere.
no.
Like a cat that you don't want anymore.
Fire station, police station.
Can we move on to your culture story, Auntie Shana? You guys are bad.
Sorry. I mean, rolling with the theme of marriage. So, who remembers back in the day a young lady who was nicknamed Superhead?
Yep.
So she
No.
Oh, okay.
Even hip hop era. Give a little background on Corinne Stephenson.
So basically, how do I put this? So Superhead was like maybe like a groupie, would you say? Yeah, kind of thing.
Sure,
like
she was the original video.
It was one of the top
she
video
was a video vixen. However, she
in the hip-hop
was
era.
known for giving very good head to a lot of rappers. She wrote a book and stuff, and kind of done one of the first, I think, exposés on like, you know, rappers and that sort of thing. So she was on a podcast recently, and she talked about that while she was married, that she had 2 boyfriends, one being Bow Wow and one being Lil Wayne. And I was just thinking, wow, like how did she let this run? And she was saying that, you know, she was making most of the money. So when she would come home, he would like run her a bath and ask her if she had fun and all this kind of stuff. So I just wondered, like, had you seen the clip? What do you think of it? Do you think that this would ever be the norm? That was my question.
So she was married. Who was she married to at the time?
Oh, you have to ask me real questions. I do.
Yeah. So she was married and she had 2 boyfriends.
Her husband isn't famous. He wasn't famous.
Okay. So she had a husband and she was running 2 boyfriends at the same time. And you want to know if this will be the norm in 2022 and beyond.
Could it be the norm? How far away is it? Are we from this reality?
There were 2.
I don't know. Speak.
No. I was going to expose the married people and see they have to answer.
I think there's a load of bollocks about this whole polygamy thing that you see like being regularly talked about in many sort of circles online. And I think that people like the concept of it, but actually when we get down to the brass tacks, few have the maturity, the sexual maturity to actually be able to share in an effective way. So my answer to you is no, I don't think so. Because I just don't think that we're nowhere near evolved for that. I mean, I'm sure that it does work in certain situations. There's always exceptions to the rule, but no, that's just how I feel about it.
I think this feeds into my latest new theory that I have, that like monogamy is a scam, and it's a scam so that men have constant partners. And so they've introduced this kind of way of being where it's like there needs to be a man and a woman in a relationship so that they can always have access to a woman. But really, I think just biologically, we should be selecting the men, and we should probably have quite a few different men to select the best sperm produced to produce babies.
Yeah.
So I actually think what her setup is probably in a parallel universe where they haven't managed to twang us with the benefits of monogamy. This is what goes on. And I listen to her. Like, I find her really fascinating as a woman. Like, what she stands for is very different. And she's not a feminist. There's probably another word for her that is very much like female dominance, but not at the expense of saying that masculinity is bad or men are bad. It's just genetically we have the things to keep on reproducing, and we need the best materials from men in order to do that. So yeah, I would hope that maybe, probably not in my lifetime, but that would be how the world was set up.
I definitely think it would be great to break down the stereotype or the brainwash that women can't have more than one partner without being considered a superhead or a super hoe or them such and them so such. So I like the idea of actually, definitely when the world was created, the way that they blame Eve for biting the apple, it wasn't that. They just needed something to, find a way to control us. Because when you think about the way men, we've had a couple of conversations about men and their evolution, and that, when some certain man's king passed away recently, the sensitivities and insecurities of what this person has left for them is exposing, and a lot of the vulnerabilities come from the fact that they cannot take the heartbreak of being broken by a woman. They cannot take it. So there's so many oppressive rules in place for women that's really crunched in and bound in our sexual liberation, that it can only be through fear, because that's what they did to Black people. They put women and Black people in a category where we were children, we were treated like children, treated like idiots, and also were not allowed to read or educate ourselves. There was a point when we were all in the same boat. If you're a woman and you're Black, you're just not going to read. Because why? They knew once we had books and education, we'll ban them all and show how insecure and rubbish white men are in that respect, because they're the ones who rule the world and impose all these fearful rules on us. So I don't know if it will happen. I do think we're in the evolution of women right now. So we've got a lot of unpacking to do, and men who are losing their idols at the moment have to figure it out and work out what they're going to do. And after they finish beating their chest, understand that they don't have to be aggressive and angry, and they can get on with women in a nice way without feeling scared that we're coming to take over. But maybe that's where it was. I'd like to go to Paradise Island with Wonder Woman and the other Amazonian women, because I find it's a bit mythical that they're all white in most of the film. So I'd like to go to the real Paradise Island and experiment with having multiple men and choosing the best to make.
I think you'd end up still going back to the beach. You know that story, The Beach, where they thought they would go to liberation. It wasn't a sexual liberation.
There's that.
I think that too many humans across race are very anxious and are very needy and codependent by nature. So this idea of this freedom, to me, there's always favorites. And if you haven't got the right balance of partners that understand that sharing, I think it always goes back to the only one. And I do agree it's an indoctrination that's been around forever for us through Christianity and Hollywood and whatnot. I do understand that. But I do think that we are more possessive as people to our significant others than we like to think. And so again, I think it's about the maturity of those doing that. But clearly this woman we're speaking of is, and she's probably been that way because of all the abuse she's actually experienced to empower herself. But luckily many of us don't go through that extremity. So I wonder how we can get there.
Auntie Sade.
I would like it to be closer than what it is, the reality, to be honest, because I'm tired. I'm ready. I'm ready personally. So I think what she's I think that I would like to see like the shoe on the other foot basically, and see how it pans out for a bit. Let's see if because I think what do you call it? Polygamy is, it's rife. It's part of I think I've mentioned this before. Like my granddad had 14 wives. Do you know what I mean? He done all right. They done all right. You know what I mean? I think I could do that. Seriously.
As in, you could have 14 husbands, or you could be one of 14 wives.
No, definitely not one of 14 wives. That's was actually
So you
mad.
could have multiple husbands.
Yeah, I think so. I think it's like because if you're setting up your relationship like that, this is just theoretically. I haven't actually done this, but if theoretically, I just think that you dictate how the relationship goes, isn't it? Do you know what I mean? So if someone doesn't fall in line, then they kind of get removed. And because it's a collective, you're more likely to get a consensus because everyone is indoctrinated into the same belief system.
That was very Kevin Samuels of you.
Well, I mean, Auntie Shadow, my mother was one of about 36 children with that setup with my
Mine too.
granddad. And honestly, the pain, you know, my mum was one of the eldest and she felt very rejected when he moved on to the next one. And yes, there was a lot of friction between this very large clan in my village. Yeah. Because it's so yes, again, I feel that there's a lot of romanticization, especially to those of us in the West, because we haven't experienced it. But my indirect experience from my mother is that she and her sister were very unhappy about the new woman when her mother passed away, and then he went off to have kids with other people, and it was all agreed, but there was a lot of bitter matriarchs in that whole situation that I still now contend with. Some family members I don't even talk to, blah 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 blah. So they didn't do it in a mature way. Do you know what I mean? They just didn't.
I definitely think you need maturity for sure, and everyone needs to be bought into the idea. And it's kind of like you have to be almost outside this current system of like, do you know what I mean, possession. Do you know what I mean? And just like basically be there to serve the queen, and that's your role. I'll leave it there.
Auntie Farah, you've not commented.
I don't know if it's ever going to happen. I was just thinking about how I would be in that situation. Firstly, I'd have to be like Auntie Sade on that side of it. I don't want to be one of many. I don't want to do that. And then I was thinking about the benefits. I don't think I could really do it, but I was thinking about the benefits if I was to have like a bag of man just at my disposal. You know, none of them have to live with me unless I want them to. I could have one come over on one day to fix something, one come over the next day to fix me, one come over the next. It could, and then when they irritate me, I literally just do not have to see them. I just move on to the next one. But they're there to serve me. And I don't know. But then I feel like that's too much energy as well, like trying to control all of that. I don't know. I don't think in reality I could do that because when I'm in a relationship with someone, I like to be in a relationship with that person and have that one-on-one experience and that closeness. So I don't know if I could actually spread myself that thin. And I can also see, like Auntie Cyndi said, like how that could be problematic for children involved as well. Unless it's dealt with in a very, 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 open and honest way where they understand everything and every child is treated the same. And I don't know if that's possible. Sometimes that's not even possible when you have a step parent and it's just one step parent. I don't know. That's why I was quiet.
In an idealistic way, what could happen was at a certain, when you hit your womanly rite of passage, our rite of passage is going to a paradise island and understanding the ways of man and picking and selecting and without judgment, without judgment basically. So you can sleep with a man or talk to a man or really understand man from the perspective of being a woman that's developing and learning how to be themselves in a relationship, all that type of stuff, just getting room to understand man without it being dictated to by man. And then when you've understood it, maybe you pick a man from Paradise Island or you go back into the world with your knowledge and then you can pick better, because I think we're under pressure to be married.
Like a reality show.
Sounds like a reality. Well, it could be that. It could be that. But it's like, because men have, their rites of passage and all this type of stuff. We don't really have many women's kind of rites of passage to really understand ourselves. And especially as we are, carriers of life, we should be aided a lot better in selecting better mating partners. And we're not. I don't think we have the right tools given to us. So if we could go off somewhere and learn that without men telling us how to do it, that might be the middle ground.
I like that idea. Just thinking of the two men that she went for, though, Bow Wow and Lil Wayne, they are like the worst specimen of man, in my opinion. Like that is, like, could you pick any? You could throw in Future, and she would have Future, Nick Cannon, maybe Drake, and then she's got all of the really. But Bow Wow and Lil Wayne, wow, that's interesting. Lil Wayne has a lot of women around him. Like, it seems to juggle lots of chicks.
He does attract some interesting women. But anyway, let's get the comments.
Okay. So Antoinette says, it's called an Adam's apple for a reason. Adam did it. He picked the apple and told Eve to eat it with his man of the house in charge type vibe. Victoria says, wasn't it the other way around? ? And Ronald says, what do you do when each of the multiple partners has multiple partners?
It doesn't work like that. It don't work like that. They're not allowed. This is what is it, like a pride of lions, but reverse genders. That's what that is. Sorry.
Moving on. So what I have heard is a really sad story, actually, to make it a bit more serious now. A young boy at the age of 11 from Abertillery, I think that's in Wales, lost his finger after allegedly fleeing bullies. Raheem Bailey caught his finger while climbing a fence to escape, and after 6 hours of surgery, doctors could not save it. His mother said her son goes to Abertillery Learning Community and was subjected to racist abuse and bullying because he's small for his age, and obviously he's black. Gwent Police and Welsh Blaenau Gwent Council are investigating what happened. She said what happened was, and the mum went on to say that on Tuesday, her son was attacked by a group of children who kicked him when he was on the floor, and as he was trying to run away, he got caught up in the fence. And they're saying he's home with his family, but he's struggling to understand what happened. And what really broke my heart was that he said she said that he says, you know, Mummy, I didn't lose a finger. I was just having a really bad dream. I'm having a dream, right? So that really broke my heart when I was reading that. So it's just, again, another one of these stories where police or authorities have failed to take action when a black child is in distress. I have no question to this because we've had this many discussion, but I guess it's just a story to bring to light. I don't know if you guys knew about it, how you felt about it. I don't know. I don't even want to say what can be done because we always ask what can be done, but it's just in the air to quickly discuss.
So she has actually made a video statement today. And one of the things that she talked about was that the school sent out like a letter to all the parents, and they said they were concerned for the safety of the teachers and the pupils. And she was like, maybe if they had been concerned about the fucking safety of my kid, we wouldn't be here. And it was a generic letter. That's why she got it. A letter or email, I can't remember, but that's why she got it as well. And I just thought, they have failed her son. You know, they reported the bullying. It wasn't the first instance of him being bullied. They reported it. And they have just failed him to the point where, you know, thank God, in a way, it's just his finger. And it's awful and it's disgusting that this boy has had to go through this, and he has to now get a prosthetic finger and go throughout his life like that. But thank God that it was just his finger, because it could have been so much worse. And the school knew what was happening to him and did nothing. And like you said, I don't know what we can do. We always say, what can we do? What can we change? Blah, blah, blah. But I think just highlighting the epic fail of this school and the system that he's in, hopefully somewhere along the line, something will change.
I mean, I saw this story and I echo everything you guys are saying. Maybe a slightly uncomfortable truth tangent here, but when I shared this story, I said, I live in London, I live in Peckham, and I've always lived in South London. and I live with my kid and my husband, and we live in a 1-bedroom at the moment. We're going to probably get a 2-bedroom somewhere in South London. We know how expensive it is in London, and I hope that when I say this, people don't think I'm trying to blame the parents here, but it was just another reminder as to why I wouldn't want to chase a bricks and mortar, ideal, which is what we're always encouraged to do as we become middle-aged. Oh, why don't you live outside of London? Why don't you'll have a garden, you'll have better space. I've never done it because the mental health and well-being of my child is more important than the space I live in now. Again, like I said, I'm really heartbroken for her, and I know there's been like a GoFundMe, and I really hope she really considers trying to live into a bustling city with more diversity, because these things happen in London. I'll give you a case in point. My husband went to Peckham Pulse the other day, and basically a white man and a white child of no more than 3 or 4 called a number of black individuals in a locker room monkeys. Oh, Daddy, look, there's a monkey. Right? So it happens here in London. Let's not pretend that London is this oasis, but I'm just saying that the way that the system is less systemically racist is the issue for me. So I would rather be in my safe, black and brown, diverse space where if something is to happen to my child, there is more likelihood that I hate the word ally, but for the point of this conversation, there are a few more allies within the system that have understood the need to support my child or black folks a little bit more than up there in Welsar. That's my issue. So I hope I haven't gone too off tangent, but I do think that we are nowhere near thinking we should go off somewhere to pay cheaper rent and then subject our children. If you're there by yourself, that's fine. Go and live wherever you want, because you can navigate the hostilities and escape, but our children can't. So that's just an added opinion I have.
No, do you know what, Cyndi? I said I didn't have a question, but I missed what I'd actually written, which is exactly that. I said sad, but what's the conversation around the rehousing wave of sending poor non-whites to outside London? What's the duty of care for that type of relocation? So you actually hit the nail on the head of where I wanted to go. I just totally overlooked what I'd written as a note. So that's it. So I'll throw that out to those of you who haven't commented. Along the lines of what Auntie Cyndi said, rehousing, living outside of London for maybe affordable or by force, so you have no other option when the council has relocated you, because that's it, you have to go. Where's the duty of care for that type of relocation? How do you fortify yourself and your children in a space like that that's not welcoming to you?
I think for the 2 black Welsh people I know that were brought up in villages, they're both mixed race, and the stories that they have told me about being in school, I think I have a very large fear about going too far outside of the M25 for that reason. And to be the only black in a village, I think is very dangerous. And we're not at a stage where it's not dangerous. And I'm always a bit like, don't people know what happens to black folk when they kind of venture that way? Like, I know somebody's got to do it, and yeah, you may be brave and you do it solo, but when you involve kids in it, I do feel that there is a lack of responsibility. And I wish them all the best, and I'm really glad that the community has got together, and now their GoFundMe is at over 100K. But with that, I really hope she does get the prosthetic finger that she's after, and they move. And even if you still want to be in Wales, but you move to like Swansea or Cardiff or somewhere, because that was also a factor. They were so far away from the city where he really needed care. It took them hours to get to the hospital. And this country is not there. We are absolutely not there yet where you can be out in the sticks and expect people to take your pain seriously. You can't. And also, the other thing for parents is, and when I worked in schools, you would see it a lot, when a child is saying that they're being bullied, I really wish people would take it very seriously and remove the child until you're like the school is doing something about it. It shouldn't be that they're still going in, because you see it escalating. And even when you bring parents in, and this is, I guess it's from a privileged position, because if you've got to go out and work and you're thinking, I can't have my child at home, but there are extremes that take place when you just keep on feeding your child to the wolves, and the school and the teachers are not doing anything about it. They're just like, oh, just be quiet in the class. that email or letter that went around is exactly what happens in schools. It's like when you talk about the fuckeries that they've done, then they try and come onto you like, now we're in danger. And they did that with Child Q. Same thing. It's like, oh, now our school is unsafe, our school's out there, what about the other pupils? And then they start guilt tripping the family and the community at large for being like, no, this is out of order. I just hope that this serves as another lesson to everybody else, that if it's not going well and you really are, there's a problem with racism in your area, take it very serious, because it should be treated like it's life-threatening. It shouldn't be something that you just suffer through or grow up from. It's like, no, this, we need to move again.
Yeah, all of the above. I don't know. I think it's what you touched on, Auntie Nana, is just like my thoughts of those with like people who can't move, right? Do you know what I mean? Or don't have that privilege to be able to kind of just, take 6 weeks off work and focus on their child, or homeschool, all of those kind of things that people do think are easy solutions in this case. And I think like a lot of parents, when they drop their kids off at school, they hope for the best. Do you know what I mean? Like they have to, because they're in survival mode, and there's very little that they can do to actually change their circumstances in a short amount of time. And it's just, I don't know. I feel I'm just very frustrated, because it does feel like there's very little that can be done. So again, I just feel like a bit like powerless, you know what I mean? Because literally, how do we help those people, apart from like fundraising and all that kind of stuff? Because the problem is, it's like it's kind of out of our control. In inner city areas in London, there are programs to move people out like that. That's it. And that, and if you kind of fall behind in rent and you have rent arrears, then you have no choice. Like, it's either they rehouse you or you don't get help again, and then you'll risk it being homeless, and then you get judged again for being a parent and putting your child at risk of homelessness. Like, you can't, do you know what I mean? Like, you're everywhere you look, you just don't have a choice. And it's like, all of that with, the rising cost of living, like the shame, all of it's actually impossible. It feels impossible. So, but I do think like where you can find community, you should try, if you can. But and also as well, I think like maybe what we can do is just like those people that we do know that are in our networks, maybe that do live out there, maybe we do it a little bit extra to kind of help them, go and visit them, go and support them if we can. Do you know what I mean? Or like support those groups who are supporting those people as well. Those are things that we can do, because most of those people, I would imagine, if they had a choice, they wouldn't be there, So yeah, it's a difficult one.
Well, they've said that the school, the learning centre has been closed to pupils on Monday. I don't know whether it's going to be, how long it's going to be closed. But that's the ripple effect as well, because the other kids that need the space, regardless of race, they're now it's a learning community. So I'm assuming it has a special program for children that really depend on this type of alternative learning or supported learning. You've got a bunch of children that are out of this space because of their lack of care. I'd like to know her backstory, how she ended up in Wales, what the story is, because I think, as we're alluding to, it might not necessarily have been her choice.
Can I just say as well, though, like, I get that that's what we're talking about for the purposes of the show as well, but like let's also just not forget, like, she's not the fucking problem. These people of those bullies are the fucking problem, and what they should be doing is make sure that those kids, they need to get expelled, their parents need to get punished. This needs to be not swept under the carpet. It needs to, do you know what I mean? It needs to happen. So like, I think it's again, this is not, it's almost like this is a racist problem that white people need to solve. Do you know what I mean? And they need to be more severely punished because they're doing it to a person who is isolated. So yeah, I think that.
And yeah, no, I agree. And I also was going to say that the other part of the question was, where's the duty of care and what could be done? Because it could be like an added extra argument, somehow legally entered into the argument about not being relocated to somewhere so far. As
the thing about it is, though, the thing about it is, in terms of duty of care, we know if you live in social housing, there is no fucking duty of fucking care. Yeah, there isn't. You could live in London, you could live in Wales, you could live wherever the fuck you're living. When you're in social housing, they don't care about you. They have people living in conditions that are inhumane.
Yeah,
I saw on that that boy that
housing.
Thank you. I saw on his Instagram feed a few weeks ago. I know we're going off subject, but it's all to do with why people move and all this kind of stuff. But I saw on his feed they had an elderly person who was blind living in a mold-ridden house. The house had mold on every inch of the fucking ceiling, the walls, everywhere. There's sewage coming up from the... And then these are the people that still want to chase you for your rent. They want to chase you for your rent. So they don't care. There's no duty of care. They have people living 5, 6, 7 members of the family in 1-bedroom flats. So they want to come round and tell you, make your front room a bedroom. Oh, it doesn't matter. Your kid doesn't count. They don't care. Then they put you on these other schemes, because there are other schemes. And sometimes when you're in a position, because I was in this position where I felt that I would never move if I tried to stay in West London. If I tried to stay in West London, my housing association at the time, Peabody, told me I will never move. They said to me, my daughter doesn't count. She could be 18, they're not moving me. So the only scheme was to move out of West London and move to Northwest. Now I'm lucky, I've got family around here. Not everyone does. And these are the things that they put you into these positions where you have no choice. And like Auntie Charlotte said, it's not her fault. But I totally agree with you, Auntie Cyndi. You want to be safe in your environment. You want to come out of your door and see people that look like you. Because I'm not about going somewhere where the nearest black person is hundreds of miles away. That fills me with dread. There's certain places in this country I won't go to because of those reasons. This shit don't happen only in America. Happens here too. There's certain ends I'm not going to. It just infuriates me because of what is probably her housing issue. She's now facing this issue with her son. Her son's going to be traumatized forever. What can she do? Like, it's just, this country just infuriates me.
I think my thing was just asking about, well, I know it's, we're in this position where you can't even call a council person to come and fix a minor thing in your yard, let alone trying to implicate something or add something to the list of kind of pushback when you're trying to contest moving out, being moved somewhere that you feel like you've got no community. But maybe there is a conversation about adding something to the list legally somehow, that what's that community that you're trying to move me out to? Are there other people like me in that community? And maybe finding ways to stall the process. We have to think.
Wasn't there something like that in the sort of civil rights era where there was actually African Americans that would actually put together a list of places that were safe to go to as black people?
That's like the Green Book, that's
the one. Yeah. Like maybe we're always having to do this ourselves, is like put a resource to say what areas are decent to go to, like that they do black Airbnb now, like things like that. Like before you think about relocating to such and such, have you checked to see? And maybe it would be a bit like a TripAdvisor where people would just actually comment on their experiences in these areas. I mean, that could be actually a really good resource tool just for people to know.
And my only issue with that is, like, sometimes when the council or housing association, whoever the hell it is that is saying that you're going to move here, you've got one chance. You say no to them and they say that you're intentionally homeless.
Yeah. I was going to say that
the system is not made to help us.
No, it's not. But also having that documentation, because sometimes that footprint of conversation can contribute to some bigger argument if you've got something going, or, a community of people that say, look, if you want to know, we point to this black TripAdvisor or black community advisor, and there've been enough comments to say this area is particularly and also it's all those things. When you have an racist incident, again, it's us doing the heavy duty labor. It's not on us, but these are our survival tips. Whilst we're in these positions, it's our survival tips, not us solving it, but protecting ourselves for ourselves. Whenever there's a racist incident, make sure that you do report it, even if you feel like it's not going to get taken seriously. Report it to the authorities in every which way you can. It's just for your documentation, so that you've got this stack of evidence. Then maybe you've got this community of people talking about this area is known for being this, and when your housing saying we want to send you here, potentially that's a little bit extra weight to your argument as to saying I'm not going here. It's very, I mean, it's slightly idealistic, but it all.
Do you know what? I've already got, you know, being an ideas person, this sounds like a perfect thing that you can actually do digitally. Do you know what I mean? It's just about having a hosting site where people just contribute independently, and therefore you build up the network. And that way it becomes a public resource, just like TripAdvisor. TripAdvisor's there. You think you say you want to go Italy, this place, you can go there and see hundreds of reviews about various things. So maybe that's just one of the other things that, yeah, we have to collectively labor, but it only takes an IT genius to host that site. And then we would be able to be like, oh yeah, anytime you visit these places in other parts of Britain, submit your review, you know, so we get a collective data on where we think is safe and not. And then, like you say, then the actual local governments of those places will have to be embarrassed and called out by these actual reviews. And no white people want to be actively seen to be actively like in a place that it has a strong sense of racism happening there. So that could change a lot of things.
Embarrassing them is probably the only way that it's going to work.
You know.
But then again, our bloody Prime Minister embarrasses himself daily, doesn't he?
All right, let's get the comments. Well, I think there's only one comment to this topic.
Okay, so Antoinette says, I couldn't even move to North or East London, let alone outside of London. South London, born and bred, and I still feel uncomfortable going to Bermondsey. So not for me to go further out of my comfort zone. And Ronald says, meanwhile, in America, we just had another school shooting in Texas with 2 casualties.
Bloody hell.
So it's literally like every day at the moment. We have another one that's just come in from Candice saying it's also infuriating, but not surprising to see the Black nursery nurse who does programs to combat racism in schools is receiving racist abuse. An MP and the Daily Telegraph have complained about the work being done to combat racism.
Mate. Okay, Auntie Farah, let's get your news and culture stories, please.
That's just really upset me, all of that shit.
Yeah.
Okay, so my news story is what in the monkeypox is going on. What in the monkeypox is going on? You know, whilst the virus is different to COVID-19, should we believe the government when they say that we shouldn't be concerned? Because remember, we heard this, and I'm not even saying that it's going to be the same, but right now they're just very like, oh, don't worry about it. But then at the same time, they're talking about you need to quarantine for 3 weeks. And what do we all think about the racial and sexual orientation undertones in reporting these cases of monkeypox? There's 71 cases, confirmed cases in the UK now.
What's the sexual undertones?
So they're saying that it's transmitted mainly at the moment. They're saying it's homosexual men and
old chestnut.
That's my point. It's that old chestnut. They're trying to go there, and at the same time they're like, oh, it's an African disease, is it? Because it's not in Africa at the moment, bruv. And in fact, it's not in no black countries. The reports are saying it's all in Europe and in America. So.
Yeah.
What in the monkeypox is going on?
Yeah, there's been complaints that they're showing, a lot of the Western platforms are showing black people's reactions to monkeypox when, as you said, it's not isolated to black people getting it currently. The Foreign Press Association in Kenya, a group for journalists covering Africa for global outlets, have issued a statement saying we condemn the perpetuation of this negative stereotype that assigns calamity to the African race and privilege and immunity to other races. What is the convenience of using such images to tell the world how Europe and America are reeling from the outbreak of monkeypox? Is the media in the business of preserving white purity through black criminality of culpability. And basically, why are you using white people?
Then they went one step further, and when they reported it, used real images of a white person who was suffering from monkeypox.
Exactly. Yeah, because all these outbreaks have tried to assign to every race but one.
Can I name the countries that the cases are in at the moment?
Yes.
So you have Australia, Belgium, Canada, France, Germany, Italy, Netherlands, Portugal, Spain, Sweden, United Kingdom, United States of America. 92 confirmed cases, although this was much earlier or yesterday. Not one in any predominantly Black continent or country.
Sounds like Eurovision with extras.
Right.
Okay. I mean, you guys have said it all. I just felt like I'd been transported back to the 80s with the whole HIV. It was insane. Like when I first saw the headline, and then I think there was even a picture of a monkey with it. I was like, oh, here we go, race beta 101. And then I saw that it was targeted to the gay community. I was just like, do they not think we have memories and receipts about this? Like, I'm kind of astounded that they've played into this really whack stereotype, because we have the receipts of their past madness with HIV and everything. It's just bizarre. But hey, whiteness, isn't it? So what can I say?
I think we're all at a loss, to be honest.
There's so little to add, isn't it? We all know.
We just got to see how this plays out.
Yeah.
To see where it goes. But I would just wholesale again for Black people, don't take it on, because I remember early days with COVID and it was like it wasn't spreading, and they still are a bit like, why didn't it go mad in Africa? They're still perplexed by that. And let's just leave them to this new virus. Stay away from anybody that looks a bit poxy.
They're offering the smallpox vaccine currently.
Oh my God.
Oh, here we go.
There we go. Also, it's not a fatal condition anyway. So again, I'm not sure what the big headline is. You get it, you quarantine, you get your thing and done. So I must say that I'm wondering why this is a major headline, because it's just like something that we as a globe have worked out how to cure once you have it. So what's the big issue?
Chickenpox. It's just a more severe type of thing of chickenpox. So it shouldn't be a headline. But
it's a headline because they said that it
rollout.
Right.
There's the rollout of the vaccines. And that's what they're all, because now we're susceptible to that pricks up people's ears, and it just goes into the vaccines, and there'll be other people that are really scared of this. There are people that are really scared of this because it's on the news all the time. So, they'll get vaccinated.
Also, it's because it's monkeypox, and they reckon it's not usually in these countries. So,
and you're talking about the money in it. And that's one of the biggest reasons why I was so resistant to the vaccine, all that stuff, because the people that are making money out of it. And I noticed something. This is an old article in Forbes. I mean, they say 21. But I saw something on Insta or one of the social platforms saying that how nearly 500 people became billionaires during the pandemic year. And a lot of those billionaires came from the pharmaceutical industry because of the vaccine business, the business of vaccinations. So the fact that could also be my mad today, but the fact that I traveled to Nice, and I had a literal ridiculous panic because I forgot to do my COVID test. And the fact that I ran, like me and my daughter got a cab because we found a place, got a cab, got the test. The cab was £15. The test was £35. The cab back was £15. Ask me who checked my COVID status anywhere, anyhow.
Oh, wow.
Of my whole journey. Even at the airport, I just walked through like back in the day. So why the frick did I do that test? Why? And that's what, about £60, £70.
Yeah.
For nothing. And that's how they're making money. Because literally being in Nice, one or two people had masks, but the whole everything's back to normal. So why the hell am I still taking a test? And if I didn't, and trust me, I bet if I didn't take that test, I would have got to the airport, I would have had all the issues and not been able to go anywhere that day. law of averages, all that, whatever happens. But yeah, so they're just making money. And when I don't know why they want us vaccinated. I don't know what, I mean, no, I'm countering what I'm saying. It's a business now. So they're making up all these things to make us get scared. So we just keep churning it out because cost of living is getting worse. People aren't buying and spending because they can't. I mean, the logic of the people that rule this world is so dumb. You've made the cost of living sky high. People can't buy nothing. So then the next thing is scare us to feeling like we're ill and going to get vaccinations. I mean, it's just, the logic isn't logicking. It's so dumb, so backward. So anyway, moving on.
Sorry, I don't know if I've made this up, but I swear I read somewhere that I think it was Dominic Cummings came out and said that there was lots of companies, pharmaceutical companies, that basically like blackmailed the government into paying lots of, that was out there. Yeah, I didn't make that up. Okay, I need to find that story.
It was the media, wasn't it? The media, it was newspapers, wasn't it?
I'm sure I read about pharmaceutical companies like demanding that Britain was one of the first to roll out. So they basically had to put up a lot of money while they were still in trial period to be like one of the first. But he was like, he was being blackmailed over it. He didn't actually really want to do it, but because he was painting Boris to be really weak, as he does all the time, and a buffoon. But he did this and he spent loads of money unnecessarily. But yeah, I was wondering if I just made that up.
I mean, I love a John Grisham book, though it's a fiction, but I love John Grisham. That's my one guilty pleasure author. And a lot of information I learned about the pharmaceutical companies came from reading his books, and the way that corporations just can bully governments. It just happens. The rich boys bully each other to push and pull their little money brackets. It's just a farce. But definitely businesses and governments, it's all hand in hand. They bully each other to do things. I don't know. All right, moving on quickly. Auntie Nana, your news and culture. What's going on?
Okay, this one should be a quick one. This just tickled me that there is a priest, mixed race priest, called Calvin Robinson, who was actually blocked from becoming a fully fledged priest because he's considered too racist by the Church of England. And so he's come out and has been like, I don't care about the Church of England. And he's signed up to be a part of some Orthodox Christian church somewhere or another. And he's going to be a priest there. But really, my question is just how racist must Calvin have been to have been outed by the Church of England as being racist as a black man? Like, how bad must he have been? Any suggestions?
It depends though, isn't it? Because we don't know if he was a self-hating. I'm just trying, and he was saying some crazy stuff about people of color, or more believably, he was just being unapologetic in a sort of in a 21st century way of speaking about racism full on, as more younger people do. So they don't skirt around it. They just tell you, that I think it would have been something like saying that, bottom line, no matter how well your intentions are, how good you are, blah, 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 if you're white, you are inherently racist. I reckon it would have to be some madness like that, where some people cannot cope with that kind of message. Some people find that really, really difficult to comprehend.
No, it's the opposite. So he basically saying that he was called out for or blocked by this bishop for saying that that the UK is not inherently racist, and that with Black Lives Matter, he says there are elements of racism in this country which need to stamp out. But while we are seeing everything as racist, we are kind of undermining those racial issues that we need to address.
So he's self-hating, the first one.
So basically. So I think, do you know what I mean? I think like with the church, they don't speak on these issues at times. Do you know what I mean? So I can see why they blocked him, because they wouldn't necessarily speak on it in this way. Do you know what I mean? It would have to, something as widespread as racism would really need to come from the Pope to kind of put a position on it, to say do you know what I mean? To say a country is not inherently racist. That's not for you to say as in your position in the Popehood hierarchy. Yeah.
Okay, so
yeah,
he's as they say, I don't even know if this is a word, but I guess he's too racy because he speaks about racism.
Right.
It's not that it's not that he's like kind of perpetuating the same white pathology. It's that he's actually talking about it is more of the issue than what he's saying.
I think so.
I still think he's a bit self-hating, Auntie.
Oh, he's absolutely self-hating.
Yeah, but like it's just like because of what he's gonna get attention, isn't he? Because of who he is, like because of his race.
Okay,
so you know, it would be a very dangerous thing to empower him, I would think. They would think, and you know they love control. So
he was a TV presenter.
Oh, was he?
Yes, I recognise his face.
No, do you?
Yeah, I do. I recognise his face. And this article's loaded with lots of inaccuracies because it says trainee priest, but then it says vicar. Because you're a vicar if you're Church of England, not a priest. You're a priest if you're Catholic. So it's just like they're throwing words in the article to kind of like make it a bit worse. But I think I'm with you all when I say that they don't want anyone that's going to give them more controversy than they're going to face on their own, because they're facing controversy, aren't they? So he's definitely self-hating. Definitely, he needs to go and take a bathe somewhere. That's what he needs to do.
This reminds me of the guy who became I think we're all old enough. Sunita, So Macho, that pop song.
Yeah.
The guy who wrote that, it was very kind of a high camp song, as we all know, for those of us that remember it. And there's a black guy that wrote that song and was big on that whole pop circuit. And then he became a priest and became the most anti-gay, anti this, that, and the other type of person once he became I think not a priest, a vicar or something like that, or a bishop. It just reminds me of that kind of strange, because everybody thought he was low-key gay anyway, sort of thing. So the guy sounds like he's got issues beyond the actual story is the issue for me.
I can't even look at him and take him seriously. So I'm gonna have to. I can't. I've Googled and I can't. I just can't. I have no comment because I'll just probably insult him in a way that's not fair. So let's move on. Or if we've got any comments to that.
Okay. There are a few comments. I think these are from earlier on story. Okay, so T. Smith says, yes, Cyndi and Auntie AK, I thought of this long time ago. As a result of what my cousin has been going through with her housing association, a Trustpilot platform or a register should be a start. And Ronald says, remember when they said HIV was only gays and Haitians? I don't remember the Haitians being in there. T. Smith says, authority bodies, schools, housing that perpetuate racism should be banned from housing and school members of the Black community. She goes on to say that you are on the money, Auntie AK. And Candice says, he was more a Preeti Patel, Candice Owens, right-wing C-word type. And Sid says, oh, wow, Cyndi was on. And then Ronald says he sounds like a light-skinned male Candice Owens. And then goes on to say, wait, this is live. Yes, we are live.
Yes, sometimes we do pre-record and sometimes we go live. All right, what's your culture story, Auntie Nana, before we move on?
Okay, so my culture story kind of informs what we were talking about earlier on. So there is a new UK civil rights organisation that has come into being since George Floyd's, since 2020. And they are kind of galvanizing the community, and I was really just wanted to know, would you join a UK civil rights organization? And also, what do you think they should be focusing on, like for us, what we actually need as like Black Britons? What should be, just a few ideas, what should they be focusing on?
I saw this story and I saw the people that are leading it, and I just thought like, I'm not an ageist. I love my age group and beyond, but I feel that I'm not confident about this particular organization. I think one of the great things about Black Lives Matter, and I know there's been recent controversy about where money's been spent and all that, so don't come at me for that. But in terms of the actual concept, I'm really about the idea of a movement where no particular person is really in charge. Like, there is no genuine leadership, there is no authority. I think it's really old school 20th century, and it always leads to problems in the end. So this kind of felt rather stuffy and antiquated, and I don't really have that much confidence in it. But it's one of those things, like, I'm in good company with the aunties and the listeners and viewers. But, you know, on a wider tip, I will just not say nothing. I want to support because it's a nice cause, but I don't have much confidence in doing things in these rather rigid formats. And many of the people that are part of this organization are already in the system, and therefore I don't think they have the ability to be radical enough for my sensibilities.
I think I'm in the same space where they want to knock it till it's been tried. I heard about it a while back, people discussing it, and we have talked about in different ways how we come together as a community to combat. Though it's not our problem to solve, I definitely think we need a defense institution against the racism that's imposed on us. So we're ready to come at whatever they send us, but it's not for us to resolve their issue. We've had that problem, you know. Who do we turn to in these civil rights matters? We're not like America that have had those civil rights organizations for, you know, they've had their issues along, you know, but at least you know that the NAACP was a thing. Black Lives Matter, though they're going through their issues in the moment, it had stood for something. We haven't had something as robust and rooted for the UK at all, apart from pockets of organizations and movements, not to discount the history and the ancestors that have done it before us, for us. But I just don't know, man, because as you said, the people that are all coordinating it in the system already, I don't know how radical you can be and how you can target the government. If I don't know, I definitely believe that you need to know the system before you break the system. So I understand that. But those who know the system and have been in the system, can they really let go and break the system without fear? Because institutionalization happens. Even when you just work at a regular 9 to 5, you can get institutionalized right really quickly. What could they do? Bro, we need all these things. Relocation issues. You know, we need housing. We need, you know, employment. There's a litany of things. Let me wear my hair how I want. Let my child go to school with dreadlocks. Let my child go to school with cane rows. Where do we start? Where do we get to let my child go to school and not be strip searched by a teacher? Let my child not be bullied and come home with bits missing, or not even come home alive. Let me report my child go missing, and then the police actually do something. Don't leave it till they're found in a dead somewhere. There's so many things. There's too many things. What I would like to see at first is just, I don't know. I don't want a town hall meeting. I don't want us to have debates and conversations about what are we going to do. I just want it to be done. And there's a lot to put on these groups.
This is the thing. This is what I mean. But also, I mean, my bias tends to kind of point out that in this country, I mean, it happens in America as well, but because they have got a bit more radical things happening just by sheer number differences, I guess. I think one of the things that I find difficult here, like I've joined many on social media, I've joined many Black groups, community groups. I rarely try to, like, I've given up on many of them because I don't think that some of the issues go beyond some of the basics. For example, I don't think that girls and women are ever represented in these Black community discussions. I think it's also always very reactive to the worst case of racism, and it doesn't really try to address systemic issues as well. So, but at the same time, I feel I feel bad to criticize it because what am I doing? You know what I mean? But I would really like to see a more radical takeover. I just don't feel that this organisation, with some of the names that have been mentioned, are going to quite get that right.
I mean, I'm just having a quick look and the first thing I'm just like, this is self-appointed. Do you know what I mean? Like, I just can't. Like, who voted for these people? Who are they supposed to represent? None of them represent me, as far as I can see and what I know of people at all. So I just wouldn't even expect them to have my best interest at heart, or the people that I care about, their best interests at heart. It just seems like some elitist BS, really. Do you know what I mean? And
it's very similar to when now Lenny Henry becoming our race star. I just feel like there's such a wrong person. Like, I cannot with, you know, I just can't.
No, not at all. Like, and the thing is, it's just like we just go round and round in these circles where, you know, maybe they have good intentions, but like, are you really talking to the people who you say you represent? Are you really pushing what they want to, you know, to be pushed forward? And I just don't think it is. It's just like pandering to the status quo, really. And just ultimately what they do by doing nothing is just reinforcing it every single day. So it's just like, it you know, it sounds like being a Debbie Downer about it, but it really is like, this is literally the definition of insanity, to continuously do the same things and expect different results. It's not going to happen.
That's that on that.
I'm coming. I kind of disagree. I get what all of you guys are saying, but I do think I think that the people in this incarnation, none of them appeal to me in any way. But I was more interested in, actually, if this is created, maybe there will be like a more younger people that would kind of get involved. And maybe it would have some type of groundswell. Maybe that's actually what we need, because there hasn't been a kind of set UK civil rights movement that has taken place. So maybe if this gets it...
Interrupt you, but like, who's the young people that's on the board of trustees that are represented here?
No, I mean, maybe once it gets going, they'll come in board.
Speak to them. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, we're talking about, no offense to these people, but Karen Blackett, do you know what I mean? Dame Vivian Hunt, DBM, Kwame Kweki, like Amar, David Lammy. Like, who are these people speaking to? They're not going to inspire.
Exactly, Auntie said it. These guys are like we've all echoed, are really in the establishment. They are lauded. They are the chosen black folks that, you know, when middle class hand-wringing liberals want to sort of speak to somebody, oh, I know my friend Kwame, I'll speak to them. No disrespect, they've earned their keep, they've got where they needed to go. But that's what I'm talking about, the radical aspect. I mean, even Black Lives Matter UK did far more in their short, you know, in their, because they didn't even choose for people to know them, which made it more concerning and more impactful to the existing establishment. So I do think that it's a radical approach that needs to be done. I don't think that breaking bread on these people's tables saying, yeah, okay, great, you're letting us do this now, is radical in any way and can actually change anything. But the concept is wonderful. We all know we need something. I just don't feel that this is it. But I will silently be watching, and hopefully I can support wherever possible. But I don't see it with the people involved having the momentum that is required.
Do you think the people involved, this could be like it could be detracting from people that are doing real work, because obviously it's a charity, they're going to want funding sooner or another, or they're going to under everything, that this could just be another space to spend money to, where, you know, it doesn't go to where it should be going to.
Basically,
funnel systems.
Yeah, I feel like I've talked too much, so I'm going to be really quick with this. What I would say is that sometimes we have to know when to step aside. You know, it's not every day you must take the request or the job. You know, sometimes I get asked to do things because I get asked to do things. So through that, I could say yes to way too many things instead of passing the baton and saying, actually, I know that Auntie Farah's actually really good at this. Can I just recommend this person instead? Because for the greater good of this concept or this project, it would be better like led by this person. So I'm sure many of us do this behind closed doors, but often I might be lazily approached by lazy liberal white folks wanting me to do stuff for the culture and all that. And I will be like, hell no, you need to speak to this person. I am not going to do this, but what you need to do is call that person right now. And I don't think that this organization has thought of that. They've thought of themselves. They've all been eating very well from this whole movement and concept for over 20, you know, they're grown. They're middle. Hello? So you guys have the ability to bring the youth them and let them lead. And you can be a consultee and you can guide, but you just need to get the fuck out of the picture, is what I'm saying.
Okay, we got there.
All right, let's we could move on. Do you want to do the tank story or move on?
We can move on.
Alrighty. So now it's time for my favorite moment. Aunties, get in your business. Aunties, get in your business. Aunties, get in your business with Cyndi Anafo. Aunties, get in your business. Aunties, get in your business. Aunties, get in your business with Cyndi Anafo. With Cyndi Anafo. Hey, with Cyndi Anafo. Hey, with Cyndi Anafo. Hey.
Hello, so how can I help you?
That was the extended version.
Isn't it? Even I was like, all right, we only needed one.
Hey. Don't you dare come at me for the wonderful intro. We are joined by a wonderful, wonderful lady. And we're going to get into your business right now. So please introduce yourself and tell us what it is you do. Yeah, go on.
Hi, I'm Cyndi. I said I was a multi-potentialite. I found that word not that long ago, and it's just a really wanky word to say that I wear many hats. So I don't know, for the purpose of this, I'll try and be brief. I've been a DJ for most of my life, over 25 years. For 22 of those years, I have been a promoter and DJ with my husband, Chris. We go under the name of Hanson Family Hands On because we do everything ourselves. We're very DIY, very much in promoting Black music across soul, funk, jazz, house, whatever. On top of that, currently I'm co-director of a place called Peckham Palms, which is a arcade in Peckham that was built with the council to house and prioritize Black and Black mixed race women in business. So check us out online, Peckham Palms. And yeah, I do lots of other things. I'm about to do a festival in Brixton that is a connection to Harlem. We're working with Harlem Bid. And I'm sort of leading with the Brixton Bid, and we're hoping to do a lovely festival in August. And what else? We do lots of stuff. There's Across the Tracks Festival that some of you may have heard of. We're hosting a stage area there. We also put on many events in Brixton Village, a space in Brixton Market, and I also am a low-key DJ agent. So I do loads of stuff. You know, creatives, we move around, Charlie. We move around. I'm also very, very, very blackety black, and I'm very unapologetic about that. So, yes, I'm very vocal on the socials. If you want to follow me, you probably won't, and you'll probably be following me every day and being vexed at what I say, but you'll still follow me because I'm that annoying.
Can you describe your life in one sentence right now? Your life today, right now, in one sentence or a word?
Content.
Ah, nice. I like that. I like that.
Nice. All right. So you said that you were just talking about your company and saying it's your company Hanson or Hands On. Could you tell us what it means and how you started it? What it means to you and how you started it?
So when myself and Chris were more naive to the whole DJing game, I mean, we thought we were quite good DJs and we liked Black music, really, really love sort of a little bit more of the chin strokey stuff. We're not really into the most commercial styles of music, if that's helpful. And what we quickly learned was that there was a monopoly on sort of jazz and funk and soul by white men. And we started to realize that we were getting sidelined and blocked and whatnot, because, hey, institutional racism is in every industry, in everything you do. So we started to do our own events, and we were like, we're just going to do everything ourselves. We're going to just be hands-on about our approach. And that's literally where it came from. We ended up actually also having a shop selling music with two friends at the time. And everything that we've done has been, I always talk about that Maya Angelou quote of, you know, be angry, but to paraphrase loosely, be angry, but just be angry and bring some actions that are positive to the table. So we just decided to reject the British or the London scene that literally erased blackness, even though it was all about black music and culture, and decided to do things for ourselves. So that's, and often back in the day, we would bring our own tech, we would bring our own projectors, we would, everything that you needed to do, we would do it. Right now, my husband does all of our graphic design. So you see all our fancy flyers, he does all that. Everything we do is like, we do it in-house. That's why it's called Handsome Family.
I wanted to jump in. It's not my turn, but I just wanted to jump in on the back of that, because you say that as a black person reclaiming the space that's ours. And I find that, especially because we've had conversations about music tastes and stuff. You're a self-appointed music snob, self-admitted music snob, whereas so some of our tastes clash. But it's interesting. Are you frustrated with? Do you ever get frustrated with the music that black people at large react to and endorse, and then the wealth of music that you explore and uncover that black people are make, like the jazzes, the souls, the blues, the stuff that's kind of overlooked for commercialism? I always wanted to get into that with you.
I mean, no, I you know, like there are, it's a really funny thing because I go out a lot, and I need to, because of the work I do. I always need to see what scenes are happening, you know. Oh, Cyndi, you need to come out to this Amapiano night, it's all about this, so I'll go to these vibes or whatever. But I love when I see black people in throng to listen to any sound. Like, you know how much I'm not a mad fan of grime or drill, right? Doesn't mean that if I've gone to a place and that has been playing and the people love it, that I haven't actually had a nice time at the space, because I love the congregation of black people together. I really, really think it's a spiritual thing that goes beyond a lot of things. I can't stand soca, but I will go to a soca party because I prefer to do that than go to a jazz night with pot-bellied white men just dry up in the corner. So sometimes I'll weigh up a good music night to music that I'm not even in love with because it's my people. So what, I'm not mad at that, but I am mad about the sort of colonial aspect of the music that I tend to, you know, as a record collector, as a jazz person, as a blah, 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 the people that are, you know, owning our music. If you go to Discogs as an example, and you start looking up your granddad's records that are sitting in your yard or whatever, and you see how they've been overpriced because there's these white men particularly that are, you know, cataloging our music, and we aren't even owning our own story. And I feel like with black music, I can't believe if you listen to black music across all genres that you don't know our story. Like, our stories are rapped about, sung about, cried of, everything that you can imagine. If you listen, it's like a library of information about black culture just by having the music. So my wish, you didn't even ask this, but I'll throw this in. If I won the lottery, a lot of that money would go into buying some of the most classic records in black music of the last 100 years. Facts. I just have it because I think it's such an important archive that we are missing out on. That's it.
Thank you.
Okay. So my first part of the question is, how did you actually get involved with Peckham Palms?
So I'm one of those round long stories. I'm going to try. So basically, my mum, I'm Ghanaian. My mum had a shop in Brixton Village, which used to be called Granville Arcade, for those that you know, South London. And she was she had the first Ghanaian foodstuffs shop in South London in the late 80s, to a point where most of my Caribbean friends and I'd be hiding because we'd be selling snails and all sorts of sort of things, Charlie, and I'd be like, no man, I don't want to be there, you know. It's right, just dumb nonsense. But yeah, my mum used to sell in the market, and from a very young age I had to go there. Through that I fell in love with Brixton and the market. Please remind me the story, because I'm trying to quickly connect. What was your question? Just link me so that I don't go off too far.
With Peckham Palms.
Right, thank you. So I already had a love affair with that market. Then myself and Chris, we ended up selling music in the and had market stalls all around London, Camden, Portobello, whatever. We used to do that on the weekend. And eventually we wanted to have our own shop. And at that point, around 2009-10, we found out that Brixton Market was now starting to give shops to different people, because they were getting emptier through the old traders, naturally departing and whatnot. We ended up getting a shop called United 80 with Sam and Necker, who sold fashion and whatnot, and we sold the music. And through that, where are we now? Good grief, I'm trying to just link it. But yeah, we basically ended up selling all this music. And again, remind me of the question, because I go off tangent.
How did you get into Palms? Yeah.
And after about 3 or 4 years of doing that, we started to see that there was a hyper gentrification happening in the area. So within the 4th year, we decided to start talking about it. We threw a one-off event in the Ritzy Cinema to complain about the changes happening in the area and the community, which led us to agree to do a campaign called Reclaim Brixton. I just came up with a term. And within 2 or 3 weeks, we ended up having 3,500 people come to Brixton who were angry about the changes in the community. And through that, lots of people in Southwark and Lambeth Council noticed me and then started to try to drag me into all kinds of regeneration programs, which I was never interested in. And then I met Paul, who is my co-director of Peckham Palms, and he said, listen, there's a really nice idea where they want to maintain the black hairdressers and businesses in Peckham. Would you be interested in getting involved with this? It would be a retail space. We'll build it from scratch and we can create it however we want. And I said, what, is it because you're a white man that you're asking me? And he said, yeah, because I can't do that. And I was like, I like your honesty. Let's do it. And that's literally what we started in 2015. So where we are, there was nothing there. It was just the back of an estate. And we just had to go through a whole load of processes after winning the bid with Southwark Council. So yeah, I was trying to give you a picture of why I was selected, because I became this anti-gentrification campaigner, and lots of the press were bothering me and stuff. And then yeah, people thought that I might be a good puppet to try to do a positive regeneration campaign. And this is the one that I thought was the most sincere.
My second part, you kind of touched on it a bit as well, but what do you think Peckham needs to keep or to create to sustain a cohesive community, so that it's not so the white folks here and the gentrification and then the old blacks in one space? What do you think?
I'm definitely trying to think of how to do that with a number of people in Peckham. Like, there's some amazing black-owned businesses like Prince of Peckham, Clement, CLF, and Bussy Building are owned by a black man. There are quite a lot of black businesses, and we're trying to work together more to kind of connect. To answer the question, I think it's really important to understand, like, obviously Brixton and Peckham are not the same if you know the areas. One thing I love about Brixton is that the community seem more cohesive together, kind of all races, in an interesting way, which means that anytime there's a massive change like the Hondo Tower, everybody comes together and campaigns together, and you get, people globally get to hear about campaigns there just because of the way the demographics work there. The Caribbean community are much more locked in with the Latin community and even the middle class sort of Trustafarian types. They all kind of lock in together. The issue with Peckham is that it's more my people. It's West African indigenous that come there, mini Lagos, but we Ghanaians and Sierra Leoneans and all of us are down there. And most of the people that come are transient. They were born over back home. They come here and they don't realize that they're going to stay there. It's like, oh, Charlie, I'm coming here to make my money small. They move because, oh, their auntie, their friend lives in Peckham. Hey, let's go. And then they honestly think, yeah, I'm going to make my money and go back home. So they don't actually invest in the community. This is what I see as a big issue. So when you're standing on the street trying to say, listen, come to this meeting, it's going to affect you, this, that, and the other, they're like, no, I'm just here for 5 years. Meanwhile, what ends up happening is they fall in love, they have children, and then they're stuck in the system, but they haven't invested. So the children don't even get the legacy of the area. And that's kind of what I'm trying to work out. How can I make my people actually know that it's a really good idea to invest in the community? That's where we're at the moment.
Really interesting.
Yeah, no, definitely. I'm from Brixton, so this is like amazing for me, hearing the history and stuff and everything like that from your perspective. And I'm also event producer myself too. So I wanted to know from you, because I have a very long list, but what is one thing as an event producer that you would, if you could never do it again, what would it be?
It's so trivial. It's so trivial. Do you know what it is? It's like so many, because a lot of events is about admin. People don't want to respect that.
Yeah.
And I just wish that people understood the difference between reply all and reply with no out reply all.
Oh my God!
And that's the basics, my friend. Like, listen, I've just sent out an email to myself where I've BCC'd you out of respect. 30 of you are all being told the same thing about this blood clot event, right? So all I need you to do is reply back to me. Nobody else needs that. Why am I coming to my inbox and there's 100 emails? Someone's just said yes. Another person's replied all. Another person hasn't copied everyone in, but has asked.
Me too. Me free. Me too. Also me. Fuck off.
So annoying. I try.
So
Auntie Sade, I try so many different ways to get. I'll be like, I'll even say it. Please reply all if you feel everyone needs to know this thing. If I literally do all that still.
yes, they don't care. They don't care. And the thing is, I don't understand why the email platform itself doesn't default to reply all. I just don't get it. Like, that's what it should be. If you only want it to go one person, you should change it. That's what
I don't know. Sometimes it's a bit like a WhatsApp. Do you sometimes want everybody to be into that response? Like, maybe I've said, look guys, everybody send your biopics and your bios. Yeah, do that. Here's your invoice, and this is the invoice information. But somebody has a different question that really pertains to them. I don't mind if they just reply with no one else, because nobody else needs to read that. So I'm like, you know the difference between the two.
Yeah, that's nation. Yeah. Yeah, I feel you. I feel you. Okay, so we touched a little bit on the fact that you're active on socials, which is, I think, how we met. You being very forthright with your opinions of the world, and I definitely latched on and engaged with you on that note. And I love the debate, the conversation platform that you've created, that just birthed out of your opinions, which is amazing. And you do get some good, strong opinions on your page. It's primarily through Facebook. This is a very ridiculous question, but because I was like, we can talk about so many things, but what's wrong with the world in your opinion? In your opinion, what is wrong with the world? I'd love to see these take.
Yeah.
Right now, I feel like anti-intellectualism, like that to anti-intellectualism, a lack of emotional intelligence and lack of accountability. I think them three things. I mean, that's mainly from a social media perspective. I do have a lot more faith when I meet people face to face, but on the internet, I think those three things are the key strands of my irritation with people. Definitely.
I wanted you to break it down some more, but yeah, go on.
Off the back of that, do you ever feel the pressure to tone down some of your comments or your thoughts or just your opinions?
No, because I'm nearly 50. I'm well in middle age. The people that employ me or I work with for freelance, they know I've moved well away from compliance with people. They know straight away. If I have a business meeting with someone, I'm very quick to let them know my politics. So it's like, listen, this is it. You know, if you don't want to work with me, I'm cool. Because I've never made loads of money. I'm not that aspirational for the cash. I walk away from many jobs because I want peace, contentment. And the things I'm saying, you know what, the other day someone said to me in real life, someone I sort of know, not really close, but they were like, oh, you know, there's some mans out there that really, you know, they talk really badly about you. And I was like, well, first of all, it's a sad thing that they actually have the time to waste talking about people like we're grown up. And he was like, yeah, you know, I had to defend you, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, but the things that they're upset about, if we really think about what it is I say about men, particularly, like, you know, there's some people that think I'm definitely a man hater or a black male hater, even though I've been happily married for over 22 years. And my husband sometimes is the one that's even looking at a comment going, look at this dickhead, you know. So it's like, for me, I feel like the things I say are just offensive to those who. It's so funny you're asking this question, Auntie Farah, because I was thinking about it and I was thinking, oh, I need to write some messed up thing about this. Like, if you're saying that you can't stand my views, it's because I've talked about rape culture, or I've talked about the fact that, you know, black men don't protect enough of us, or about colorism and the fetishization of certain black women over another. Like, these are like regular themes that I go to. It's like, so if you don't like me, or think you hate me for saying these things, I'm like, hate away. It's great. I'm glowing from it. I'm like, because I don't know why you're so mad about topics like that. Are you defending them? If you are, then yeah, we shouldn't know each other. Straight up. It's all good. I don't know what do you want me to say?
Nana's coming.
I was so in it. I was blatantly thinking, oh, I guess no, I get it. All right, so you've had a number of life experiences that you share candidly about on your page, and similarly to Auntie AK, it's like, I don't even know how we know each other, but it's probably from social media, but I feel like I've known you for years. And there's one thing that you speak about, it's like the relationship between mothers and daughters, and I genuinely really like that you broach this subject, because it feels like such a taboo and nobody really talks about having relationships with mothers that aren't totally pleasant. And when you touch on it, it always touches me. I just wanted you to just speak about that. Like, why do you think it is still taboo that we're not having this open conversation?
So one of the things is that we've got this kind of mad monolithic binary madness online where it's either or. Right now, you know, yes, I probably do tend to look at brothers and issues regarding our men a lot more than internally. But when I do talk about these things, I think that us as women, we've got this kind of black women can do no wrong madness going on at the moment. And so, you know, we're all excellent and we're all amazing and blah, blah, blah. But my mother, who I still am in contact with, and, you know, I love her because that's just that is how it works. But my mum literally was a toxic mum. Like, I wish I could tell you something better. I refuse to be present about it. I know that communally, it's like a betrayal. Oh my God, you're saying this about your mother. If I told you some of the stories, you'd be like, okay, I see why you're saying that. It's taken me a long time to just feel that it's not my burden. And I think that there are a lot of people that have to deal with this in silence. So yeah, I definitely talk about this. And then also, I had my child at 40. And remember, I just said I was with my husband for 22 years. Why have I not had a child with him? Because I was so traumatized at the belief that I would be a shit mum, because I didn't have any leadership that made me feel confident that I wouldn't just replicate being a bad mother to my daughter, that it took a happy accident for me to have my daughter. I was very resolute that I'd just be a nice auntie. But, you know, my mum did scar me on many levels. She herself has been traumatized, and as a grown adult, I do understand why she's that way as well. But I don't think that we talk about bad mothers. Being a bad mother is like insane. Oh, if you meet someone you've never met before, and you go, oh yeah, my dad was a dickhead. Everybody's like, cool. Oh wow, yeah, and they just have a drink and carry on. You say, no, my mum's a dickhead or whatever, right? Then everyone's like, you can't say that, and it's really quite difficult when you have a mother that might be beating you, berating you, all kinds of madness that, you know, maybe those of you that are watching didn't have that. Maybe you just had a few problems. Like, there are people like myself who dealt with a lot of shit from my mum. As I said, my mum did the best she could. And honestly, I think a lot of our generation, my mum's nearly 80 now, she probably would have been better off doing therapy. She probably had some post-traumatic madness from her very troubled life. You know, her husband, my dad, died when I was 4 and left my mum with 3 children in this country. There's a whole, you know, I'm not pretending that she didn't have traumas, but I didn't ask for them. And I've had to go through all that. And so, yeah, to answer your question, I'm very, very vocal about that. And that's funny, is I follow a lot of adoptee, foster care sort of groups on that basis because they're more honest about those things. I follow Dr. Stacey Payton, who's amazing for just talking about how to treat children and all the problems of toxic parenting. And I'm actually, I should throw in as a shameless plug, I've been able to, with the Palms, create a Afro hair care package for foster children that we're starting in a few weeks' time. So yeah, like I'm very passionate about those things. Like, yeah, and I think more people should talk about it to get past it. And I'm very anti hitting children. So if you ever want to have that debate, come at me, because I know in this community, our community, there's this grey area, and I'm literally zero tolerance about it. Very zero tolerant.
Well, that's also, is it my turn now?
It is. I was just reacting.
Yeah. That is like super, super insightful, and I would like to go deeper with that. But I actually do want to ask you about, like, because of all of this that you deal with and your kind of the service that you do for, you know, the Black community and all the work that you do, what do you actually do to relax? How do you chill? How do you reset? Like, what is it that you do to kind of like be still?
It's so weird. I think being a lover of music has helped me with that, because I get to go out to really nice gigs and stuff. I'm not always out to network or whatever. And because I've been working for myself for a long time, I'm not really rigidly on a 9 to 5. So whilst Mans is running around on a Monday, I tend to do a lot of my emails on a Sunday, and then I have like a big lie-in all Monday mainly, or I find different places to get my rest. And I have learned to switch off a bit more. But to be quite frank, I wouldn't say I'm a workaholic, but I think this is like a lifestyle. And I have a level of a manic energy in me. Like, just to throw in, I don't, you know, again, overshare, but I've been sectioned when I was very young. And I recognize, looking back, that a lot of my behavior was because I was suppressed on doing so much. So people go, oh my God, you do so much. And I've never actually leave me to do the much, because that's where I'm balanced. There are people that need to be juggling things to feel complete. I honestly think that there is something in that, without it being too crazy though. You know, like, do get your rest, but I've got a lot of ideas constantly, and I'm in a place where I'm actually able to realize them, and I'm really, really, really thankful. And I think that there's a lot of young Black people that have fallen into mental health crisis because they they hemorrhage on a glass ceiling very early because of the system they live in, and they're frustrated, and then they get into this turmoil. You know, if they're white kids, they have somebody, you know, if they're middle class, they get some options to be able to develop whatever it is they're trying to get into. But for our kids, I think amongst all the PTSDs that we've got as a community, I think that if you think about it, there's always a moment in your teenage life where you realize that, oh, that message about you can be anything you want and you can do this, that wasn't actually for me, was it? You lot were kind of, there's that moment where we all recognize it, but not everybody can take that well. So to answer your question, I think that some people are very multifaceted and need to have a many hats approach to life to be fulfilled.
Nice.
Speaking of those many hats, you're a style icon as well. You got style, you got fashion on you. And you didn't mention that you were a model. Yes, lady, we dug deep. How did your modeling days kind of inform or shape your identity, especially because you are a person who's been on a journey of self-evolution, survival, and you know, and I can imagine being a model in an industry that's so superficial and stressful. How did your modeling days inform you, your identity, and also a bit about your look, your natural hair, and all those type of things? What
So I hated modeling. I basically I did it because, I mean, this is very common for dark-skinned Black girls. I mean, there's light trying to give me like a little bit of brownness. I don't know. But on a serious note, it's like when I was a kid, I was, you know, copiously bullied and teased for my normal Afrocentric looks that, you know, every other person in Ghana looks like or whatever. But that I wasn't living there, so it didn't matter. So I had big self-esteem issues. I additionally had self-esteem issues because my mother was a terrible mother at the time, and she was bleaching her skin. So, you know, you're getting this message that your natural optic, I look more like my father, is a terrible thing. You know, I came from that lineage of, oh, why don't you do something to your hair? Why don't you brighten your skin? So it was a madness. And then you'd go out, and then you're more, no offense to my Caribbean fam, you know, it was just the time and the area I lived in, but it was like there was a lot of anti-African, you know, nonsense going on. So it was quite difficult. And then you've got white racism, nah, you ugly black, this and that. So when I sort of got out of, well, basically I moved to Ghana, and it was a blessing, to be honest. You know, I would be, and then I got modeling there because people kept saying, oh, you should model. So I did that. And then weirdly, the first thing I ever modeled on was a African, The Clothes Show. Do you remember that show, The Clothes Show, that was on the BBC? So random. So the first, yeah, and it was held in I think it was held in the Golden Tulip, actually, and madness. And then I was, yeah, so I did that, and then every now and then people would just ask me to do stuff, or I would be their dummy model for clothing and stuff. And I think I did it because I needed to have some self-esteem issues. So it was a deliberate ploy to kind of feel confident, and it didn't work. I just know how to pretend that I like my look. Does that make sense? So I'm not trying to throw out pity or poor me, but I just know how to now calmly. If you say, oh, Cyndi, you look really nice, I'll go, thank you. But it's all very constructed, and I will do it. But in my heart, it ain't there. It ain't there. So I didn't really like modeling. I came back to London. I did more modeling. And then I started to choose who I would model for rather than just try to be a model. So yeah, that's my experience. I did it for self-esteem issues, 1000%.
Can I quickly ask, who or what are your style muses?
So many people, and I mean that sincerely. Every time, if you know me, when I meet you, do I not try to steal one of your things you're wearing or whatever? That's it. I've taken my style for everyone because I love us. So I'm always looking at other black folk and being, that's banging. I like that. I don't read fashion magazines. I don't do any of that. So it's very difficult for me to say. Like, when I was much younger, I remember there was those magazines, Just 17 and all that. You'd look and they'd be like, oh, this is fashion. But do you guys do that? Do you actually go to the fashion pages? Do you buy Vogue magazines genuinely and be like, yeah, I'm reading this? Because I don't.
I like looking at fashion, and then I get inspired by fashions out there. But one thing for me is that trends, I fund trends because I'll wear something from whenever I want to wear it. If I like, I very much move on. If I like it, I'll buy it.
Yeah.
I'm the same. I like what I like, and that's that.
Yeah.
I can appreciate certain things if I've seen it, but I like what I like, and I know what suits me.
Yeah, that.
Yeah.
I love fashion, though. I do love fashion.
Yeah, I used to be
you
more
not see? Sorry, Auntie Shadow.
No. I was just saying, I used to be definitely more experimental, and I definitely had every copy of Vogue when it first came out, like for maybe about 2 or 3 years, and I just loved it. I just loved everything about it, and the size and all that kind of stuff. I just thought it was like really innovative, and being like just like that happening in our moment, and then also being really influenced by Sex and the City and stuff and things like that, and just like and then also being in Brixton, I was really influenced by yardie culture. Do you know what I mean? So just having all of those different, you know, do you know what I mean? Like, and then my stepmom sewed as well, kind of thing. So like just wanting to create and like transform myself with clothing and my look and all that kind of stuff. Like I could just do it every weekend and be someone different. Do you know what I mean? I really like that idea.
Amazing.
I don't think I've ever actually purchased a Vogue before at all. Whenever I picked up a magazine, it would be like styling, and I'd probably get it from like a modeling agency and like borrow. I've never been that way inclined, even as a stylist. But for me, I think the biggest influence was Soul to Soul. Like they inspired so much of my life, because I was probably about 8 or 9 when they were at their biggest. But because it was Camden and my sister was so influenced by them as well, it was like that ethos of a shop, fashion, music, selling was just like the biggest. If I could, yeah, they are like hugely just, I guess, streetwear and doing what you want to do and making anything. I love that. Like, high fashion to me, it doesn't even factor. I'm always a bit like, oh, okay.
Do you know what? I would definitely, like, when I think about it, I would be, if I had money, like stupid money, I would be one of these people that would be like, oh, I like that outfit at Issey Miyake because I like sort of simple cuts and stuff.
Yeah.
And I would just buy 3 or 4 of them for my season. And so you'd be seeing me wearing the same garment all the time, but you wouldn't realize that I have 4 or 5 of them. I'm a bit like that. Like, I am a sort of, I'll buy 2 trainers that I like the same because I want to not, you know, I do things like that. But yeah, I'm not really big fashionista. But I do like your clothes, Nana, Auntie Nana, and you feel free to send me some samples.
And you saying soul to soul makes so much sense to you, Nana. I don't think you've ever said that out loud before, and I just know you now even more.
Oh, now you get where I. Yeah.
And I love it too. I love it too. It's part of the aesthetic. But yeah, go on, Auntie Farah.
Every time someone says soul to soul, I just remember the video with the girl in the lycra leggings and the big
JJ.
Anywho, go back and watch the video. When people have questioned me, I'd have to find the video, screenshot it, and send it to them because you couldn't miss it. Okay, go back and watch it. Anywho, so you have said that you're a woman who wears lots of many different hats. You know, you've reeled through the vast amount of things that you're currently doing, that you've done throughout your life. Like, you need to write a book, by the way, so I can read it. I think it would be super interesting. And actually, I'd learn a lot from it as well. So just saying, I gave you the idea, 10%, thanks. But I suppose I'm going to say, what would be your end goal? I don't think that you would really have one end goal because you've already said that you like to stay busy and you've got like lots of different ideas. But if there was an end goal, and, you know, something that would make you be like, okay, I've done it now, I've achieved it, what do you think it would look like?
That's a really good question because, like, you've quite really hit on. There's so many great things that I think we've all probably got the same thing. Like, even that idea we were just talking about, that TripAdvisor thing, that's just made me go, oh my god, how could we just put that down? Like, it's crazy. But I think, for me, well, I think I want to relocate. I don't want to live here forever. That's really important. The sun really helps me function. But I think I would. It would be an idyllic life of still working very much in London and stuff, but just not being here. And that, again, it sounds really quite sedate, but I genuinely mean that. I don't really have anything where I'm like, I need to achieve this thing. I would just like to be continually passing the baton on and be able to pay my rent comfortably and know that my kids will be all right when I'm gone. Honestly, I wish I could think of something a bit more, but I can't because I don't think like that.
That's a brilliant one. So this is now we move on to the quick fire round. These are quick answers, please, and we're going to get into your deep business. This is when, you know, when the aunties circle you at a family party and we're just like, hey, getting into your business. Let's go. You said you're married. How do you make it work? Because obviously Kevin Samuels said, you know, you need a leader, and you know, the man has to lead, but you look like a very problematic black woman that can't be led. So how do you make your relationship work? How come your man's not the leader, or is he the leader? Is it all a front? What's going on? What's going on in your relationship?
He's a front man. You know what I mean? He's like, I'm just a beard. No, I'm on a joke. Or no. I think, yeah, with Chris, he's a very calm human. I sometimes wonder why he's with me, but we work together. We have done for most of the time. What makes it work? Because we don't try to go to a Kevin Samuels guru and try to talk about relationships. I find it really odd when I read people talking about relationships. I find it really odd, and I find that often the people that do that the most never have very long-term relationships. So that's also like, How would you know? Like, there's one dude on a particular group, which some of you are in, and he's always talking about how marriage is the great thing. And one day I just said, "Are you married?" And he was like, "I'm gonna be." And I thought, wow, you've got so much to say about something that you've not even done. So strange. So yeah, I think both Chris and I were considered outliers as young people. You know, we weren't considered the cool kids or anything, and we really relate. And so our relationship is also not very cool, actually. It's how ever we decide to work. He's always been very accommodating of he met me out raving, in it, like he met me out, and this idea that we would change because we became a couple, it's not gonna, you know, we've never believed in that. I think being together is about enhancing each other, not sort of completing each other. That nonsense. I don't agree with that kind of mindset, to be honest.
So you don't believe a man should lead a woman?
Do you know what? Do you know what? Can I just say? I mean, I am quite old-fashioned, and I think there are some things where it's like there are levels of manhood that I do agree with. You know, I sometimes towards. For example, I do think that a lot of people today are not willing to. I think the word I will bring is probably compromise with each other, and I know a lot of people find that really offensive, and I'm like, sometimes it's a give and take. Like, what is so big a deal about weighing it up and being, do you know what? You can have that today. Don't worry. It's okay. I'm not necessarily in love with that, but you have it on this occasion. And I don't think there's enough of that with people's ideals of relationships when reading about these things on the internet. Everything's a bit like, if he hasn't done this and she hasn't done that, then I'm out. And I find that really strange.
Yeah, it's not realistic. I'm with you. Every successful relationship I've seen, there's been levels of compromise in it. You have to compromise. You just don't you compromise with your friends as well, innit?
Yes. Oh, you know, you wanted to go and eat in McDonald's while the rest of us wanted to eat some nice food. Sometimes we'll be like, child, let's just let Auntie Farah, let's just go and have a burger.
Yeah, it's been 19 minutes. She's hungry.
Yeah.
So you have a lovely daughter. You've mentioned that. What has she highlighted about you and your husband? Like, what can you see in her that's definitely you or your husband?
Well, definitely she's just an amalgamation. You know them kids that literally, like, she's just got my body in his head. It's a strange thing to see. But no, she's definitely, yeah, I see her adopt many things. She's kind of calmer, so she's more like her dad in many respects. She's quite reserved and thoughtful, but she's definitely got an opinion from me. She, you know, she's already like, she doesn't believe anything I say, only what her teacher says. You know, she's very much, and I'm like, well, I've raised someone to challenge, isn't it? So I accept that. What can I say? It is what it is. But she's actually, you know, I always say this, people always think it's a bit of a funny thing I say, but I mean it because you know my history now. I say, when people go, oh, how's your kid? How is she? And I say, do you know what? I really like her. That's what I always say. And that is because my experience is like, not everyone likes their children. It's deep. So I'm like, you know what? I really actually do like my child. So it's really nice that I've got someone that we really get on with.
Cool. I get that. What type of an auntie are you? Are you like
lectury?
Oh, really?
Yeah, my poor niece who's now 30. You know, she was just like, Auntie, I you know, I dreaded when you found out about what I'd done wrong because I knew you were going to talk and talk and talk, and I would break it all down. You know, I would really just open the belly of the beast about everything to a point where she just didn't want to hear it anymore. And that was enough to scare her into not doing the same thing again. Because I can't give you an experience, you know, it could be a simple, let's just say it was like, you know, oh, I've eaten a donut with too much sugar and my parents told me not to. I'll go into what sugar does, the plantain. I'll just go into some madness. Yeah. And I'm looking forward to being a very old woman with I want a stick and I want to wave it at school children. You know, that's the sort of auntie I am.
Oh, that's hilarious. So Cyndi, you shared a lot with us, but can you tell us like a secret, something that you haven't told your mum or dad, something that you would, share with your bestie? What can you share with us?
A secret? Oh gosh, that's the problem. I love chat too much. What is that? Oh no, I'm gonna think on that. If there's another question, I'm gonna think on that because I can't think right now what I've done.
I feel like it's a stylish way to not reveal your secrets to your aunties that have surrounded you and tell us your secrets. That's a very stylish out. We'll come.
Well, do you know what? I mean, it's not really a secret because it always gets out of the bag. But I have a thing about secretly, but I've got a bit of a trainer fetish in it. So sometimes, Chris and I will agree to budget properly for that month. But I will see a pair of trainers or something. And I've even got one in the basket in shoe at the moment. And I'm convincing myself that I must press play. And what would happen, this is what I'll usually do. He's in there, so I don't know if he can hear me, but then I would buy it and then I will hide it in the house for a while. And then it would be revealed later. And he'd be like, oh, where'd you get them from? And don't you, it would be so long ago that he wouldn't realize that I bought it at the time we weren't supposed to be buying stuff. But so that's one thing that I do.
Yeah.
Now we all know. Now redeem yourself. Make us proud. Tell us something that you're proud of. That's just like, you know what, Miss Cyndi, pat myself on the damn back because I did the damn thing. It just made you proud.
Lots of things, I guess. That's why I say I was content because I'm just in a really good place at the moment where I'm able to deliver a lot of events and things that I really want to do. So yeah, I'm proud about the fact that I'm doing it on the terms I want to, because when we've all been there, but when I used to have 9 to 5s as well as always DJing and stuff, I used to compromise. I used to do things where I wouldn't speak up about certain things and just felt a little bit dirty about it. I remember I used to do a gig in Mayfair and I used to get really good pay, but the crowd was so horrendous, so horrible. I always ended up spending my money in stupid ways because I hated myself for doing this gig. So yeah, I'm now in a place where the gigs that I do and the things that I do, I'm really happy to do them, and that I'm proud about being able to have created that for myself, because I know that so many of us are not in that position. I see it as a real privilege. I know I've worked at it and I've had knockbacks from it, but that's probably something that I'm very proud of.
Cool. What's a family saying that you heard growing up, or it doesn't have to be a saying, could also be like a habit that your family had when you were growing up that you either hold very dear or you wholeheartedly reject?
Two I could think of so many silly ones. My mum, I remember once I overheard my mum with my sister, we were too young to understand it. She was talking to a friend on the phone, and she said, my mum said, if you pull your knickers down in a hurry, you'll pull them up in a hurry. And we didn't, that's just a running joke for me and my sister. Like, it's random, but it's a funny thing that me and my sister still say to each other because it's hilarious. And now we get it, like she was talking about some hoey friend or whatever, but we do, woo, she said knickers. But on a more serious note, I think one of my favorite Ghanaian ones, you see it on lots of the buses in Ghana, which are called chochos, for anybody that doesn't know. And one of my favorite ones that I say is let them. Love it. Just that. Let them. It just has so much weight for so many things, and it just summarizes. Them ones. Someone will just let them. It's okay. That's it.
Can I just go back to the knickers up, knickers down thing? I don't get it. It's gone over my head a bit.
So my mum, I know my mum. So I think what she was referring to was that she quickly ran after some friend of theirs ran after some man or whatever, and she was quick to hoe herself out there, innit? And so she took her knickers off in a hurry. Then my man burnt her up or whatever, and then it's like shame. So that's where I think that's the sort of thing my mum would have said anyway. So yeah, it's quite a good little saying. Don't take your knickers off in a hurry, people. Just saying.
My Auntie Mary, she's got one, and she says, Mouth open, words fly out. Sometimes people just chat in it.
Yeah,
Just chatting.
I get that one.
We have in Ghana. We said, this person, they talk by hearts.
Yeah.
Just by hearts.
Yeah. All right. So, will you let us solve your problems, or do you want some unsolicited auntie advice?
I want some unsolicited auntie advice.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Oh, perfect.
Is that a bad move? I don't know.
You know why?
It's the wrong thing.
We kind of remixed this because we were like, when we don't have advice, we haven't planned the advice. So I don't know if anyone has some unsolicited advice for Auntie Cyndi. You've been told to write a book. That was just by the way. You have to write a book for Auntie
You do.
by force. I think that you should let your husband lead you. So that's.
You're a troll.
I would really like. I know you're super busy, but I would love to have you doing a podcast. I would really like to follow you, even if it was like a bi-weekly type of thing or some type of show that you actually did on Facebook or something. But I just think when I go to your page, and I probably only go onto Facebook to go onto your page and read the thread that you've started, I actually think, yeah, that would just make such a great podcast. So that would be the only thing. Like, yeah, please just do a podcast or some type of rolling media involvement, because I think you've got such brilliant ideas and great opinions and lots of stuff I don't agree with. Most things I agree with, but I just like the challenge because you're always up for let's discuss it.
I would like you to write a book, but I'd also like you to get your record collection and like do like a night where you just go through your record collection and you talk about the history. You know, you said a lot of things here. I'm like, yeah, that's true. And I'd like you to talk about the music and the history of where it comes from and all that sort of stuff through your record collection. I'd like that. I'd come to that.
It's a good one.
You put that bad boy in Eventbrite, I'd buy a ticket.
Well, interestingly, I'm starting a radio show with Chris at Soho Radio, and we do talk about the music and so forth. So
makes sense.
I followed you guys. Small.
I love it.
That's nice. Okay. Thank you so much, Auntie Cyndi, for letting us get into your business. I do think I need a closing track for this section. I'll work on it. Don't frown.
I have an additional piece of, I guess, unsolicited advice. Red Border says, I want her to start the Trustpilot idea.
I like that idea so much. And what I'm going to do, because I know a few people in tech, because sometimes we think it's so difficult. Like, there was a friend, I don't know how much time we've got, so cut me off if you haven't, but when the Black Lives Matter version 2 came about and all of those people started to work, have the black square, a friend of mine and a couple of people, they created a bot, a Twitter bot, which connected to all the companies that said, yeah, we're going to change our directive. And then every 30 days would say, what have you done? What have you done? It was just an automatic.
Yes, excellent.
So I think there's something in setting something up that we don't have to manage, but we can actually contribute to. So I think there's probably a way to do it if you speak to the right nerds, you know?
Yeah, let's go. This
I love that idea.
I want it. Let's go. All right, let's get into Sad, Mad, Glad. What's made you sad, mad, and glad this week, Auntie Cyndi?
Well, I'm a bit late, but what's made me sad is the Kendrick Lamar album. I think it's a great album, but I'm sad about the fact that there's not enough good hip hop for it to be heralded so genius. It's an averagely good album. It's not that brilliant, but the way that people are gushing about it is because there's an absence of great hip hop. So that's what I'm sad about. I think it's a good album, but you know, I was in the golden era, isn't it? And you know, I had so much choice. So big up Kendrick, but can we have some more of that, please, from many more artists? In terms of what's made me mad, there was a story about a senator in Louisiana who basically said that he doesn't think that the high levels of maternal mortality in his state is that much of a problem, because it's only because Black women are a high number. So he was literally saying, look, it wouldn't be a problem if Black women weren't added to this count. So obviously he's been dragged on Twitter. I think his name's Bill. I can't remember his surname, but if you go on to Twitter, you'll find out about it. Mad because this is a senator. He was also a doctor. So can you imagine he was treating some of those people? And Louisiana is the 47th worst state for maternal mortality, with a third of the population being African American. So you do the math. It's like, how disgusting is it that he said that? In terms of being glad, I'm just glad that it's kind of British, weird, wet summer. I'm so bored of the darkness and and I'm just happy to see a bit more sun. That's it, really. I haven't got anything. I mean, I've always got things to be mad about. Another thing that I was mad about was this stupid report today talking about institution, like the police force. Now they're going to be taught Black British history to help them work out, you know, how to deal with us more. And I'm like, what? You know what's going to happen? They're going to talk about something like slavery, which has nothing to do with you stopping and searching a little young brother. So it's irritating because who's leading this? Who is leading this? Why? And who's come up with this idea? It's the usual thing that the wrong people are leading these opportunities to actually do some right in those systems, if you even believe in the police force. But you know what I mean? It's like, why would it be important to teach Black history? It's better you teach about the community you police in, not bloody, oh, I now know who Malcolm X was, but I'm stopping and searching in Battersea. It's just dumb. The whole thing's dumb.
With my taser.
Yeah.
All right, answer for. Oh, it's my turn. Sorry. Thank you. So what made me sad was definitely the young boy in Wales losing his finger, and much love and power to him and his mum. Mad, my bath is leaking, and the councilman came round today. Luckily, they did come round to the date and time that they said they would. However, they've exposed that the work that councils do, which is so shoddy, it just exposed that because he said that the plumber said that where there was supposed to be tiling and plastering, there has not been, and they've just put tiles straight onto the wall or whatever the case is, without doing a full job. And he was saying, I wish I was recording him. He was saying that in all his years of being a proud plumber and proud tradesman, he's like, he wouldn't even tell his kids to get into the industry again because it's just so dire. And he said in his time of working for the council, he has never seen such disarray. It's heartbreaking to him, and he's just like, I can't believe what I'm seeing. And I've never been so distressed in my life, like in seeing all these things. So he went a bit above and beyond, but you know, it's the luck of a draw. You don't know who's going to go above and beyond on each visit. You'll get a job's worth, you'll get a lazy person, and you'll get someone who really wants to do their best. So let's see what happens and how long it takes for the whole thing, because he said, really, you need a whole new bath. But you know, I'm not going to get that. So a bit mad about that. And I don't think we talked about it last week. It's a little bit old news, but Priti Patel, our favourite, has relaxed the stop and search laws. I should say the puppet has relaxed stop and search laws in the UK. So now they can go, police can stop and search at ease. We'll see what happens anyway. And glad because
they feel like there's a chance of danger. And it's if they feel like it. Well, and they could always fucking say they feel like it.
They always see danger when they see, especially Black boys, regardless of their age. Specifically Black people. And I'm glad because I went to Cannes. It was an impromptu last minute trip. Cannes Film Festival is still on now. I went from Thursday till came back early hours this morning, so I'm a little bit tired, but it was a fantastic experience, a needed experience. I learned a lot in that space, had some great fun, went to some interesting parties, but that wasn't the part of it. It was the networking, the business, and prospects to be made. It was wonderful and had a really good time. So that was my class. Auntie Farah.
Okay, so I'm sad about the report of the 14-year-old girl who was forced to strip search in the presence of male officers whilst on her period. Once again, we have another case of this. This happened last December. This happened in December 2020. Her mother said that she was traumatized, dehumanized, and violated, and as a result, she later attempted suicide. They even tried to take her to court because she had a blade on her, and they didn't understand that the small blade that she had on her was because she was actually going through some things and she was self-harming. just also to add, this girl is like autistic. So fucking totally sad and infuriated and mad that this has happened again. And that, you know, they've probably covered it up, because why are we only hearing about it now? It's 2022.
I'm literally about to ask that, like, because it was a few months after Charles as well. It's like, how come we're only hearing about these 2020 incidences now?
Yeah, what's going to come out next year or the year after that we don't know. So yeah, I'm just disgusted at that. I'm mad at Alec Baldwin because there was an incident with a former NFL player called Brendan Langley in an airport, and he was at the airport and he had an altercation with the member of staff. Now, if you watch the video, maybe they were having an argument, right? I don't know. But the member of staff came from behind his counter and like went for the NFL player. Now, the NFL player then defended himself and then he got nicked and all the rest of it, yeah? But Alec Baldwin came out and was like, the guy's gone to work to be safe and it's the NFL player's fault.
Sorry?
Why is Alec Baldwin?
Alec, I beg you sit down and shut the fuck up right now. Like, there's time to talk and there's time not. And it's not your time.
I don't think he could have seen the video, because I've seen that video.
Do you know what I'm trying to say? How did he? I don't understand how you could see the
The
video.
guy comes out, he fronts the guy, and he slaps the guy. That's what he does. And then the guy just tumps him 1-2 times. That's it.
It doesn't matter, innit? He just beats him up.
He just dealt with the matter.
You were out of your league. You got tump up. Such is life.
Yeah.
Also, there was no need, because honestly, when you know what it's like if you've worked in some position of authority or customer service, you're the uniform. You've got security. You don't need to do that, because you've got all that backup. So for him to think it was all right to slap, he should be sacked immediately.
Yeah, exactly. But the NFL player is facing charges. But anyway, I was just angered at, like, whether or not you think it's wrong or right what happened, the altercation. It was the fact that Alec Baldwin felt the need to go on Twitter and chat about it. It's like, Alec, come on now. Just go and mind your wife and your 7th baby that's coming on in a minute. Like, that's what you need to do. Sit down, relax, be quiet right now, because your case is still being investigated. Be quiet right now about safety at work, bruv.
Is Alec Baldwin racist?
Is he what?
Is he racist? Because weren't he the one that was talking about traumatization after Will Smith slapped Chris? I swear
he also then was like, "Oh, Chris, I love you," or some shit like that. So I don't know. I just know I
mean, do we ever know?
Exactly. I mean, he's married to the woman that is pretending to be Spanish and she's not. Let's not forget Hillary.
I forgot about Hillary.
Hillary. Yeah.
I don't know. He needs to be locked up though. But
anywho, that made me mad. And my glad is that Auntie AK went to Cannes and I was jealous, but I was very happy for her. And I'll be happy for all the money that she's going to make us and the yacht parties that we're going to be on next year. So yeah, you do your thing, boo-boo. I was happy about that. I'm also happy that it's my birthday on Friday. It's my birthday.
What's your star sign before we celebrate?
Gemini. And I like to bite it, slap it. Remember that?
Wow.
Gemini.
I really was liking you, Auntie Farah.
You still need to like me, because me and Auntie Nana
is the best sign.
You're outnumbered right now.
No way.
Yeah.
Okay, it's been real. I'm an Aquarius.
We get on though. Don't be like that. One of my best friends is an Aquarius. Okay. He's a moany bastard.
There's something about being a Gemini though. As much as like, it's like we're infamous. So I don't actually mind that people have something to say about Geminis, because it's like, at least we're remembered.
Snap.
I mean, you could say
some of the best people are Geminis. Like for all this week, all I'm doing is posting about how great it is to be a Gemini.
And Kanye's back. Kanye's back on the street.
Kanye's back online, my G, because this is birthday coming up.
Exactly.
Naomi's
a
Was
good
it
thing.
Moving on,
Gemini?
Auntie Nana. What's
I
made you
just don't know if that's a good thing, but okay.
You know, there's a lot of good
Auntie Nana.
Geminis out there. Biggie. Oh yeah, wait. Also, my other glad and fellow Gemini, cusp Taurus. Have to throw that in there. It was Biggie's what would have been his 50th birthday the other day, and I was just glad all the love that he was getting online, you know, musically. And what really made me happy today is in my old Holland Park roundabout. There's a massive billboard of him, you know, to encourage people to go and listen to his music. In New York, they lit up the Empire State Building in an ode to Biggie and all of his achievements. And, you know, it just makes me happy. Like, Biggie was the first person in hip hop who I was like, I like this shit.
One day, I would like you guys to cover the kind of weird overlove we have for hip hop, and then the problematic nature of the likes of Biggie with their women. Anyway, moving on.
I know, it's so complicated. I know, and some of the best songs that I like from Biggie are really complicated. You know, I'll be the first to admit that. But still,
I'll play his music.
Is my favorite rapper of all time. So
Okay.
Happy birthday, Up in the Sky, BIGPOPPA.
Auntie Nana.
So my sad, I think it really is the young boy losing his finger. I think that's been the saddest thing. But then also Ronald adding in that there is actually like loads more people that died in this shooting in Texas as well. That has really made me sad that we're really in a state of like emergency in America with all of these killings, and it's worrying that it's accelerating over there, because you know it wasn't so long ago when that kind of gang problem seemed over the seas, and then it's now we have it over here. So it really does worry me that this could come over here to some degree. So that's made me sad. I'm super mad. I don't know if you guys saw this. I was watching Nazanin Zaghari Ratcliffe. This is the woman, the journalist that was imprisoned in Iran for like 5 years. Watching her interview on BBC yesterday and finding out, I did not know this, maybe this was common knowledge, that the British government actually owed Iran 400 million for a series of tanks that they were supposed to send over to them, and they never did in 1979. And this was why, to our knowledge, it's like 5 people have been imprisoned while they're trying to get this money out of the British government. And they finally did pay them this, and only 2 people were released. She came back with another woman. And they basically were like lying to everybody for years, like kind of being like, we don't know why they're keeping hostages. And where she was in Iran, they were telling her, it's because your government owe us money and we need you here until they pay, and then we can, then you'll be free. But it was just, I was getting more and more infuriated at the 5 years of her life, and that she had a baby, and they knew all of this. And Boris Johnson, remember, they actually doubled down on keeping her when Boris Johnson said that she was in Iran teaching journalists, and she wasn't. She was there on holiday, and he actually made it worse for her. And it was just like a series of calamities that Boris Johnson was involved in, that just felt like, no, you were using her as like a sacrificial lamb. Like, you probably wasn't going to admit anything, but because of her white husband and her colleagues really fighting you on this, you kind of had to come back and say, I got it wrong. She wasn't teaching, and we're in negotiations with Iran. But yeah, it just again solidified what I think of the government and how they're the most disgusting, corrupt people ever. And we don't need to be voting in any of these people, that they all need to go. That really pissed me off. And I'm super glad it was Yona Odoom's birthday, her 40th surprise birthday. She's one of my son's godmothers. And it was just lovely. And I, when we were getting ready to get ready for the surprise, I really needed to go to the toilet. So I thought, I know Yona, she's going to be late. Like, if she's not in the car park. So I went to the toilet. And I also didn't think, it's a group of Black people, like they're not really going to assemble properly by the time I go to the toilet and come back. But they did. and they all assembled and had their cameras up and recording, and I opened the curtain and everybody thought it was Yona and they thought it was me, and I walked into a huge sigh and laughter, and then I had to stand at the back and wait for Yona.
The way you just diss black people in that whole conversation.
Come on, there was like layers. Like, you're getting a room full of black people to move to one side. Nobody's doing that right away. They were just like eating and stuff a second ago.
What surprises have you been to? I've been to organised surprises.
I didn't think it was going to be that fast. I thought I had time to do a wee and I could get back in. But then I was tagged in various people being like tagging me, like, and Nana came in with her false start, and yeah, it was highly embarrassing. But you know, there we go.
Auntie Sade, what's made you sad, mad, and glad this week?
So I would say the same as far in terms of sad and mad. The autistic girl that was strip searched, and they actually cut her knickers off, which is disgusting. Like, yeah, it's just
seriously.
Yeah. It's
can do stuff like that.
It's a lot. It's just a lot. It's just really just like a lot. So yeah, I hope they get justice on this one. I really do. And then I say my glad is I just had a bit of me time over the weekend, got my nails done, went for a nice walk. I was actually supposed to go to a couple parties, but I chose like not to and just chill and stuff, and it was just really refreshing after these last couple of weeks that have been insane. And also I was on a podcast called Meet Us After 7 with just Djing and Yusuf, Big Man Yes, and Yusuf wasn't there, but Justine had some other girlies instead, and we turned the man cave into a girly cave, and we just had a really cool conversation, and that's like live on their Spotify and Apple and stuff, so you can have a listen and see how that went. But yeah, it was good, it was fun.
Is it on YouTube as well?
I think it goes up either today or tomorrow, the visuals, I think.
Okay.
Yeah, that'll be them.
Well done.
All right. Thank you very much. And now, Auntie Cyndi, please give us your unpopular opinion or what's on your hit list, or don't piss me off. I don't know which one you've chosen.
Oh, I forgot about this question, but I'm always got an unpopular opinion. I'm actually going to repeat something that's easy that I shared not that long ago. It's an old story. I mean, we know that, lover Riri, she's had a baby. It's all lovely, happy, glad for her. But I'm also like, but a lot of women are like, yay, Riri, amazing, fantastic, and then they're like, oh, Rocky, and they're conversely not happy with him because Rocky's not shown him to be himself to be the brightest of the bunch when it's come to many of the things that is fallen out of his mouth, as Auntie Sade's auntie would say, just talking by hearts. And so my unpopular opinion is that, but Riri has chosen to be with this guy, so why hasn't she kind of getting the same? No, we're happy for a baby, but why is it that our Black female community are so supportive of Riri, but are equally making Rocky to be this weird victim? And aren't they a union that have kind of come together and had a kid together? And why have we got this cognitive dissonance for crappy choice men as women, not just Black women? Why are we sitting there, pretending that Riri hasn't any level of accountability to choosing that ashy fall? I'm just asking, why do we never want to really? So I like Riri as a brand. I don't think she's a great singer or musician, but I find it really rich that we can never be held accountable. It's girl power, Black woman excellence and all this, and it's like, but look who she's chosen, look what nonsense comes out of his mouth. Why do we ignore that, is my unpopular opinion.
Ooh, interesting.
I love that one. Oh my gosh. Whoa, the layers of it. I'd never even thought about it. That's quite interesting. But
she's not sort of, you know, her optic favors the most desirable in the laziest fetish mindset of our community, right? We know. You look like Riri. You are not short of suitors, yeah? And she's in billionaire circles. So she's meeting, you know, the Kevin Samuels, high value men, all that. She's got all that. But she's chosen to be with Rocky. We know why. She's from the ends herself. She probably vibes with him. We get all that. But my point is that he has proven himself to be colorist. He has proven himself to be very strangely not sort of connected to, you know, all lives matter was one of the things he said when he was asked about Black lives. There's a whole list of things that he said over the course of his career that show you he's a bit low vibrational, to say the least. He's a very attractive guy. We love his cheekbones. But outside of that, really, now they've got a kid together. My issue is that if things don't go well for them, I reckon that the Black female community, who I love, will still be blinded and say it's all his fault. It's like, but really, you chose this Ashley Vega. That's my issue. So talk to me, people. Auntie Sade, she's just like.
No, unpopular opinion. We tend to let you say what you're saying and leave.
Yeah,
it. Right.
but like I actually don't think. I think that people know that she's made a bad decision. I don't think I think they're just like they, you know, it might not necessarily affect her that much. Do you know what I mean? Could have been anyone, to be honest. And it's about Rihanna's decision, having her child and her thing. Do you know what I mean? Like,
yeah, if it was the other way round, and I hate doing that. I know it's whataboutery, but I think it's relevant. Black women would be all over the Black guy choosing some dumb woman that's carrying on saying all kinds of random whatless stuff. We would definitely not be as forgiving. So I'm saying that we have this kind of Black women do no wrong, which I touched on earlier.
No, I don't.
Mindset that isn't always healthy, because they've just brought in a child with that band in the back.
But it's Rihanna, like, and she is like an anomaly when it comes to like celebrities, because she feels like for us, like UK, she feels like she could literally be one of us. She could have gone to our school, she could have gone to our college, she could have, do you know what I mean? Like, it just, I think she just definitely has like a special place in people's like mindset of like, she can kind of do almost whatever, you know, and
there lies my problem. I think that's the massive problem, because my thing is that I have no respect for sisters that indulge in colorist men, in men that are that. I just feel like you're not helping the cause. You're even reproducing madness by doing that. So yeah, I mean, I'm not as much of a fan of Riri's. Maybe that's the issue, but I could say the same for Beyonce and Jay-Z. I could say Jay-Z likes problematic. I will not forget his video.
Very funny that you said that, because when you were talking about examples, I was going to say unpopular opinion, but you could say the same thing about Jay-Z.
I'm saying that these women who favor and additionally they
favor her because of that. People literally hate Beyonce because she's with Jay-Z. They call her an idiot. They say her albums are just about her screaming like, "Stop cheating on me." Do you know what I mean? She gets a lot of hate for that choice. So I don't think that's like, as a Beyonce fan, like, when you get the criticism, that's literally what people say. Like, honestly. So like, I
just think we hold a cognitive dissonance to our women. You know, it's we or just certain people in our community. We just kind of blind eye. You know, we see these, like, you know, even with the guys, you'll see a Malcolm X type, you know, and then he's only exclusively dating white people, but we're not sort of mentioning that there's some and that person might be problematic. We don't really.
No, I don't know.
We do it more with men. We do hold them to account. I'm saying we don't do it with our women. When our women choose ashy problematic dudes, we hold a cognitive dissonance about the whole thing. I'm trying to say this.
It's when it's over, what you do get though is people, wow, she made the decision, it's her fault. Like, there's a lack of sympathy, there's all of that. Do you know what I mean? I think there's definitely a coldness that is arisen if a woman makes a choice that isn't seen as to be of her perceived standing. Like it is like, well, you made that choice, and they're not forgiven.
I think Rihanna can do no wrongs. That's why people haven't called her out. I think people are also waiting by the sidelines to see what ASAP Rocky does before they like, well. I think definitely that you get an well, this is what happened. This is the man you chose after the fact. I definitely think I had a bit of, we're not supposed to talk, but I randomly watched that Vogue. It is Vogue when they did the how many questions, and Rihanna and ASAP doing their questions, and I was quite endeared by the humanity.
It was years ago that though. Yeah.
It was quite cute before they even started dating. It was just interesting, their vibe, and then seeing them get together. I kind of like that kind of story. But I did think, ASAP, because he's been so problematic, I was a bit, and I'm not a huge fan of Rihanna in that Rihanna's brand, she can do no wrong sense. I do love Fenty stuff though. I don't know, somewhere in her getting with ASAP, because of who he is, I was a bit like, ASAP.
But I think this is, she's in the public eye, and so therefore, but I see this enough in the community. Like the other day, a friend mentioned that, I used to have a friend, and basically, she asked about a guy that they both knew, and she just asked about him, and this friend, who's quite fair, had sort of thought that she was interested in him. She said, oh no, there's no point asking about him, babe. He doesn't like dark-skinned women. And I was like, how is she your friend? I'm just trying to put in the point. Why would you be around people that are low vibrational like that? Like for me, Riri must have a level of being low vibrational, truth be told, if she can be with a man like ASAP Rocky. That's what I'm saying. And I don't know why we're like, yeah, go girl, she's so amazing, when the choices, and fundamental, I think family is so important, the fundamental choices of who she's with. And I don't doubt for a second that I don't believe this is going to be a 30-year relationship, quite frankly. I'm sorry, I'm just throwing it out there. But I feel that when they break up,
I will say,
it will be Rocky's fault. It's like, but you knew what he was about. Come on now, but go on. Sorry, speak, please.
No, I was going to say, I remember when Jay-Z and Beyonce got together, people were like that. They didn't really think that would last. But you just never know. But I do feel like why she's probably attracted to him is what one of you guys said. She's almost touchable, isn't she, Rihanna? She's very relatable. Some of that's PR, but she's very relatable in the sense of what she does and where she goes and who she hangs around with. And probably in her circles, he's quite real. And, he's Bayesian, she's Bayesian. They've got similarities. Probably there's a lot of realness there, and she might not at the height that she's at meet much real people. And that's not to say that he's not problematic, but sometimes, let's be real, us women get swayed by the D, and that's that.
I think touching on what Cindy's saying, and from what I know from Sharona, who is also in Barbados at the moment and speaks about, and her family are dark, and how colorism works there, I think it's more likely that Rihanna would accept his colorist natures and will be like, that's not my problem. And I think we're honest.
The point is that a lot of her brand is built on blackness, and that's the other part I forgot to throw in, and that's where I'm like, we can see it for exactly what it is. Blackness is a commodity.
I think she is totally, like, everything around her is marketing 101. I don't believe that Rihanna, if we knew her, is as nice as it comes across. I don't believe that for a second. I just think that is just purely marketing. Like, they just knew that Black women were looking for sisterhood and they wanted the girl next door.
Agreed.
And she performed that. And it's like, she slotted into that. And I just think Beyonce wasn't up for that. I think that Ashanti was, and then kind of fell out of alignment with that, and Rihanna slotted in. I think it's just a role. It's just an archetype that she fulfills. Yeah. And probably it doesn't affect her. And I think it doesn't affect a lot of people, because even the ones that talk about it, there are always counters to what ASAP said wasn't that bad. and red lipstick doesn't suit every dark-skinned woman, and not everybody should cut their hair. And there are lots of people that are just like, no, there's nothing wrong with what he said. So I wouldn't be surprised if she was also in real life like, what he said wasn't that offensive.
But guys, come on.
Go on.
No, I was just gonna say, like, number one, I can't speak for any of them. Do you know what I mean? I don't know what they are and stuff. But what I do agree with, though, Cyndi, is that I do think in our everyday lives we don't call out men who are problematic, and it's like what they do is brushed under the carpet, ignored, not challenged all the time. And like, even I, in my own experience, have literally had to cut off male friendships because not necessarily how they treat me, but how they treat other women. Do you know what I mean? It's just like they would create this kind of like fake bubble, like, oh no, you're cool, but they can talk about any other woman anyhow. And I just like thought, this is wrong. I can't do this. But what I see time and time again is Black women just literally ignoring that of their male friends, their partners, etc. kind of thing. I'm not calling it out. So I do, in principle, totally understand and agree with what you're saying. But like, I just don't know with that situation. I don't know. They're celebrities. You can kind of say whatever. So I'm just like, I really don't know. But it's so, that world is so murky. It is just so difficult to look good anyway. Do you know what I mean? So there's always something. So like, that's why I'm just like, I can't even answer this.
I mean, to be honest, it just reminds me of real life. I think, I was around these kind of individuals, these kind of types, the archetypal Rocky and Rihannas of the world on the estates in the end. And they all, to be honest, I just think they collude to, now they know it's not cool to be openly colorist, openly fetish, openly enjoying the fetish. So now they're just sort of finding ways to feign some level of Black political cool, but really they still about that life. That's how I see. That's what I think really truly is with them too, to be honest. That's just, I don't think it takes a rocket scientist to see that many people in those relationships have low-key agreed that on the side they're all right with it. They're all right with it. That's all.
Oh, there's so much to that. So much. I was going to say on a very basic level that when you're in it and you meet someone and the context of what the person's accused of saying, to when they said it, how they said it, were they high, were they not, were they in a bad mood, were they, all these things, the levels of what they believe and what they don't, and how they navigate society. When you meet the person that fits you, a lot of shit goes out the window if you're looking for love, needing love, dying for love, whatever.
That's what I'm saying. I agree with what you're saying, but I'm still saying that. So I know a couple of the things he said, and you can see I've got strong bias. But like I say, all right, forget about the red lipstick. Let's just move on from that. You can just look at his dating history, and that can tell you its own story. But let's even forget about that. On Ferguson, like I said, he said, he doesn't understand that. He lives in LA. He's not really about that life. Yeah. When it came to Black Lives Matter, he killed himself to pander to his newfound wealth. Oh, it's not really about that. We've got to get higher than that. When it was about some sort of issues going on in the community regarding criminalization of the Black community, he was like, what about black on black crime? This man has form for saying dumb fuckwittery. So for me, I like to build a picture. It's like, if it was just one thing, I'd be like, allow it. But no, this man has form in showing he's not very smart. That means to me that neither is Riri.
But that's the problem, because when we put celebrity on a pedestal, because that's what I was going to say, it's the fact that Riri's just a famous woman. When you think about celebrity, they're just human beings that have been made famous because either their talent or their business acumen, or because someone else
smart enough to not speak much on politics for you to not know what her politics are.
So it's like, if you get taken in by the fact that Rihanna's the goddess from the sky, then you're going to be like, the fuck? Or whatever she does is, it's just, you have to remove that and just look at the person individually for what it is. I like her products, but I have never bought into that girl next door thing. I don't know her, or I don't know. Anyway, Auntie Cyndi, you're naughty because you made us debate on something that's supposed to be one comment.
That was a good one.
Fantastic. We got to get some comments because lots of people commenting and basically celebrating you. So let's go. Now,
Okay, right, let me just I'm gonna pick some out. Sid's been chatting away, innit? Right, Sid, we see you. All right, so I'm gonna go to Aunties. Okay, so Nia Darte said, Auntie Cyndi, no one is ready for that convo. Candice, yeah, that was a good one. Let me go up a little bit further because I know there was a lot more. Sorry, I'm just going over Sid chatting. And Ronald says it's different because Beyonce and Jay-Z are viewed as a power couple. And Ronald is also asking you, Farah, could you post that list of the Black UK terms with translations? ? And Sid says, sounds like Cyndi is trying so hard to hold back the real cuss words on the tip of her tongue right now. And also Ronald says, great show, Cyndi is incredible. I think we all agree. Yeah.
Sorry, I realized I was on mute. And that's on that. Thank you. We all very much agree. Auntie Cyndi, you're a wonderful guest. Thank you for coming on our show. Tell us where we can find you and follow you, because I think people have said they want to know everything you're doing and listen to everything you say.
Oh God, feel free. Cyndi Hanson Ellis online. I think I'm on this. But yeah, that or Hanson Fam on Instagram. And yeah, just we do like a debate. We do get people quite, have interesting conversations. It is just my personal page, but sometimes it does go into good dialogue. So feel free to follow.
And as I mentioned, don't forget to keep like, comment, and subscribe on all our platforms. We're on all the social medias and we're on all the popular listening platforms. Don't forget to write your reviews and your comments. And we're on Patreon as well. Don't forget to sign up and pick a tier, any tier, and go for it. And join us next week live at 8 p.m, I should think. Either Monday or Tuesday. I think we're Monday next week. So yes, thank you guys. This has been your Aunties Could Never. Good night.